put that decision on hold, allowing, at least temporarily, those duties to continue being collected.
We will win this battle in court, and the president will implement his America First trade policies.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters the tariff uncertainty is not slowing down trade talks.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern of the White House. The president suffered a setback in his battle against Harvard, trying to ban the university from enrolling more foreign students after accusing Harvard of allowing anti-Semitism to flourish.
The federal judge, she simply extended her temporary restraining order that she put in place a week ago that allows Harvard to continue enrolling foreign students here on campus.
That's Fox's Chanley Painter in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There's also a legal battle as Harvard tries to unfreeze blocked federal grants. We'll hear from President Trump later today with Elon Musk as the Tesla and SpaceX CEO wraps up his time as a special federal employee leading the Department of Government Efficiency. Doge's work controversially led to federal job and spending cuts. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Fox.
I think Elon came in and in 100 days did some very important work.
Doge touts savings at $175 billion. Musk's initial goal was $1 trillion or more. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in Singapore.
This is the continuation of a very important long-standing relationship, a bond that has been strengthened over time, and we want to continue to renew.
Hegseth there with a security forum with other defense officials, diplomats, world leaders talking about China's aggressiveness and Russia's war in Ukraine. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go.
Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that their results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Are 30-day sample packs available?
You can now access a 30-day sample pack at TryRexMD.com with generics if appropriate. Online approval at TryRexMD.com is simple, with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit TryRexMD.com to get your sample pack. That's TryRexMD.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Hear me now! Morning It's Friday!
It's the Kimmer Show. It's just a bunch of hollering. It sounds like
Yosemite Sam ain't got nothing to me.
That's right. I want to know who. I want to know what, when, where, and why.
Just wanted to make sure that everybody at 6:03 got a little bit of wake up in there. That's all.
Buddy, if your alarm's going off right now, you're like, what in the ever-loving world was that? What was that?
It's with those guys.
That was craziness. What that was. It's not as crazy as the thing that I actually talked about this on my little Charleston country show last night. That there is a 28-year-old daredevil who broke the Guinness Book of World Records by performing, listen to this, 7 backflips in 30 seconds. Doesn't sound like much. Then you throw in what he did next. While he was doing those backflips, he was on fire.
Oh. Well, I was about to say, I was like, I think I've seen gymnasts do
exactly
that without
right.
a problem.
Yeah, give me a trampoline. I might be able to break that one. But
then you throw in he was on fire.
Then you throw up the proverbial what we use on the show. I'm on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Ricky Bobby.
He was.
I'm on fire. Oh, let me go put out the fake flames of my friend.
And his last name is Looney, surprisingly.
All right, well, good.
Ryan
That's awesome.
Looney. He apparently, as I was reading about it last night, he wore this flame retardant clothing,
right?
And they had some gel on him so he didn't burn himself up somehow or another. But if you got to do all that, like, what's the point? You know, I mean,
was he on a trampoline or was he just on flat ground?
I think he was on flat ground.
Well, if you want to get into Guinness, and some people do a lot of things to get into Guinness. Didn't you, growing up, get the Guinness Book of World Records?
Thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Every year, school book fair, you bought the Guinness Book of World Records and you read up on what was like the newest stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the newest thing that people have done. And people do all kinds of things just to get in the Guinness Book of World. I like this guy. He sets himself on fire, does some backflips. I mean, it's crazy what people will do to, I guess, have a moment of fame. Is that what you would call that?
I met a crazy person probably about 20 years ago.
Only one in 20 years?
This one was real crazy.
Okay, all right.
So this person insisted that they were known as Mr. 3000, and it's because they had thrown this many consecutive or whatever BP pitches, in some Guinness Book of World Records thing. And I remember like listening to this, and at the time, I'm playing men's league baseball. This guy's like 20 years older than the rest of us, and we're like, he's got a rubber arm. We'll bring him down to Tampa. We can let him throw a few innings if we need him. And we're all in the hot tub together, like down in Tampa, Florida. And he starts talking to us about his Guinness Book of World Records. Then he starts telling us about like, Andrew Jones calls me up. He called me yesterday to come out and throw BP to him, but I wasn't able to do it. And I'm like, look at the guys. I go, dude, Andrew Jones is on the Japanese World Tour right now with the rest of the major leaguers. They didn't call the dude to go over to his house. And that's when I recognized how crazy people will get or will invent records or invent the fact that they did something that was noteworthy. I like, guys, never invite this dude ever again. He's full on nuts.
Dude, holy cow.
Those are usually the one-upper types that no matter how good your story is, they got one to beat it.
I can do better.
Well, I mean, I kind of threatened you know John? Because at the time I'm doing a weekly with John Smoltz on the Chris Domino show. This is back like 2004. I was like, you want me to reach out to John? I can ask him, and he immediately starts backpedaling. No, you don't need to bother him. No, it's totally fine.
He's probably on the golf course.
That's right. It's like, dude doesn't know you, yet you've invented this whole reality.
But my daddy can beat up your daddy any day of the week.
That's right.
Exactly
Nuts.
Gosh, I just can't imagine. Like, what is it? Like, what happened to you in your life that you feel like that's what you have to do to impress people or
I'm just stuck on what world record can this show attempt and break,
buddy?
To get our names on there.
I don't think I could break any record.
I think we could.
Okay. I mean, you got to.
We'd have to come up with it.
Yeah, you'll have to dig down.
Well, that's a lot of it.
I can't think of anything.
People come up with something to then try and push to Guinness, and most of the times it's show up and watch me do this.
Set yourself on fire and turn backflips.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a set yourself on fire and do this section of Guinness.
Yeah, what makes people
let's
have that desire?
Let's do this. And what we'll do is we'll put the flame retardant suit on Jure and the gel, and we'll see how many wings he can eat while on fire.
Now, this is a good one.
If he can get to 10, well, then we put him out, and now that's probably the world record. How many wings can you eat while you're on fire?
But you got to get Guinness to be out there to record it.
Yeah.
I mean, so we got to. Do we know how to reach out to them? Because I don't.
You just put up the bat signal and
here
they come.
Do they have a 800 number you call?
How many Guinnesses can you drink in an hour?
Now, see, there you go. Okay.
To get in the Guinness Book
I've only drank one Guinness in my whole life.
Yeah, it's not really for me.
No, it's not. I mean,
I'm not a beer drinker to begin with.
It's acquired taste. It's very motor oil heavy.
Yeah.
And that's fine if you're into just a good pint of Guinness.
Yeah, sure. A lot of
stouts are kind of like a winter thing.
I'm with you. I'm not really. If I was going to take part in a stout, it would have to be, just as you're saying, Jure, this would have to be like a dinner in like November, and we're like, let's get a good, big old heavy beer.
Yeah. Not for me.
That's not summer beer.
No, I'm not.
You see somebody at the pool this summer with a Guinness
drinking stouts at the pool.
Dude, you might steer clear of that,
dude, because that may be the he's over there telling people how he knows Andrew Jones,
crushing Marlboro Reds.
That's right.
With his stouts. I'd be like, that dude's a man.
I need cigarettes.
I have no ability to hang with you, sir. You're a different level.
Camel, no filter, and that motor oil,
beer.
I wonder what the world record is for the top speed on an office chair. There's a lot of hills in Georgia. We can probably.
Man, you're more creative than I was giving you credit for. I mean, you're coming up with a few things.
I think if you get you get some skateboard wheels and bearings on these things, we can
get
maybe
some WD-40.
Yes, find the right hill,
lube that thing up. Just
be going down Cobb Parkway, just holding on for dear life.
That's right. And then you get that one wonky wheel.
Yeah,
it's like at the buggy at wherever, Publix or something. The one with the wonky wheel that just vibrates the whole time or makes the thum, 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 thum sound. And you feel like such a jerk as you're putting vegetables in the...
It's got to fight it.
Most of these are just clownish at this point as I'm looking
so
American
true.
man spends nearly 90 minutes balancing a chair on his chin to reclaim record. I'm like, come on.
That's what I'm saying. What makes you want... desire that?
That's interesting.
Who gives an S?
Once you have the record, like now that's your whole identity.
To keep, yeah. It's like, I bet it's like
I bounce chairs on my chin.
Of, is it King of Kongs?
Yes, when they are going for the world record in Donkey Kong.
So it kind of reminds me, like Dre said, it's like now it's like I've got to maintain it.
Well, but I would recognize that is a little bit more impressive than how long can I balance an office chair on my face.
Fair enough, but I'm saying it's that same concept.
Yes, you become known as this.
That's your thing.
And you got to get it back.
Is that Billy Mitchell guy?
Billy Mitchell, yes.
Boy,
Steve Wiebe, yeah, that's man, it's like 25 years old, but that is a classic documentary. I don't know anyone who I've ever told, check out this documentary, and they have come back and said they didn't like it.
No, it was amazing. I
It's a great
couldn't
documentary.
believe how...
It's a character study in weird people.
In weird people. I was totally enamored by it. I couldn't quit watching. I watched the whole thing in one sitting. You know how sometimes you're like, I got dinner. Dude, I was like, I'll eat later, babe. You're just watching in amazement.
Jerry knows to this day Billy Mitchell, and he's like, ooh.
He's just a creepy kind of human.
But they've since, because again, it's 25 years ago, they've kind of faded to the background. But that documentary inspired more people to then chase classic video game records. And so now the numbers are wildly
just
insane.
Off the charts, yeah.
Like they've been well past at this point.
Well, they couldn't beat me at Burger Time. I know that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know who could beat you.
You might be rusty, though.
I was going to say, might be the man in the corner office. You decide not to buy the machine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he took your Burger Time. And now that it's payday, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, all right, do I go over?
Dude.
Was it over to Southern?
Yeah, Southern Recreation, is that what it's called?
I think it's Southern Recreation. And you're like, do I buy this machine back or do I go to the check cashing place and get my cash so I could hit up the bar?
Gosh, that's a...
it's a challenge here.
Put that on the scale.
If there was ever a good old days, 11 o'clock meeting time, like it's today, there's not a whole lot going on at my house.
Tug, the world record for Burger Time, by the way, 7,789,300 points.
Hang on, what was it again?
7,789,300.
Tug was doing like 35,000.
I fell well short of that.
I'm pushing this thing.
I fell well short.
Better practice.
Yeah, buddy, I got some work to do.
I got some work to do.
7 million. Wow. God. Dude, what else are you doing? If you can score 7 million points,
not much.
I mean, it's only like 50 points per slice of burger. I mean, that 50 points to get to 7 million, dude, you're walking across a bunch of hamburgers.
But you know what? In this office, you're the champ.
Yeah, you are. You're the best.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You are the Ralph Macchio of this office when it comes to Burger Time.
That's right. And I need a T-shirt. I need to be put in the Guinness Book of World Records.
We'll get you a championship belt.
Right, absolutely. I want a belt.
The old burger on the front.
Give me my belt.
Yeah, that's right. I want a Burger Time championship belt. God, that's great. Oh, I said it wrong. Greater Southern is it?
There we go.
Greater
Southern.
Dude, that place is amazing, though.
Yeah,
I've been there a few times. I've always wanted an air hockey table, like a legit air hockey table. I'm not talking about the ones you get at Walmart that
Take a
flips
nap
upside down. Yes. You flip it upside down and it's a pool table. I don't want that. I want the one that's got industrial grade fans on there so the air comes out the way it's supposed to and the puck slides across it the way it's supposed to. Those things are like $3,000. I mean, but they're amazing. It's the ones you'd find in an arcade.
See, I've been to the Alpharetta location.
Yeah, it's right down the road from my house.
I used to live right around the corner from there.
Mm-hmm.
And back when we were just in our little 3-bedroom townhome, which was really more of like a 2-bedroom with like a little tiny office that they call the 3rd bedroom.
Right.
It's like a little sliver of a room. We used to dream about which pieces of this equipment and this furniture could we get into our home.
Dude, I'm telling you. This there's at Greater Southern, I'm looking at the Brunswick Premier Air Hockey Table, $3,000.
Worth every penny.
On the nose, $3,000, just straight up. Dude, that thing is awesome. The only thing that would be better than that is the one that has the electronic score above it, with the LED score on the top of it. Like I would I'd rather have that one because it looks cooler.
I'm going to go shop their video games right now.
Dude, because the one that we had, the arcade thing that we had, is probably there. Or it may be sold by now. But.
Yeah, it's probably been sold, but they do have, like, even I don't know if you've ever seen, like, the seated Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like they have
like
one of those
one
units.
that they would put
little cocktail machines?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
The
those
ones
are cool.
they used to have at Pizza Huts when we were growing up. That's the only place I'd ever seen the seated Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man or Galaga or whatever.
I love the old school Pizza Huts. There's one up in Blue Ridge.
The upright multicade arcade.
That's the one we had.
$29.99.
Oh wow, that's $3,000 too.
That's not bad though.
It's got $3,000.
I mean, normally that's like they're close to like $4,000 a lot of times.
Oh, so that must. Wow. All right.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, man.
They gave us quite the gift.
Yeah, they did, and we had that thing for a while.
The big man wouldn't buy it.
Nah, no, and then they fished it away from us.
Come on, big man.
Yeah, Double D's letting us down on this one. Letting us down.
I don't know.
We don't have our video game machine.
I'm going to spend 10 seconds talking to David Dickey and David Dickey only, okay? The rest of you audience, don't say anything if he doesn't hear it, but just so you know, Tug's willing to sign a lifetime deal if he can get Burger Time back.
That's all I want. That's all I care about.
You don't have to talk about increases, or ratings bonuses, or anything. Just give him back Burger Time. He'll sign as many years as you want.
I'm telling you.
Okay, there we go.
I'll be here until
I'll set myself on fire.
And do backflips.
World record. Yeah.
do some backflips.
There ends the David Dickey portion of the broadcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just letting you inside a little trade secret when it comes to Tug Coward.
You just know where my heart is. That's all. That's all it is. You know, I'm just.
He played every day.
Dude, every day. Los would be in that sleep galleria massage chair, and I was over there playing Burger Time, just happy as a lark.
And actually, that's made more problems for me because I would show up and I'd walk in the door and the chair would be open because you would be playing Burger Time.
That's right.
Now that there's no Burger Time, I show up and you're already in the chair.
That's right. I just jump in there.
Because there's no Burger Time.
That's right. What else is there to do? I got 15 minutes before the show starts. What am I going to do?
Yeah, 5:40, I walked in the door and I'm like, man, he's still over there.
There it is.
Sound familiar?
Yes, it
no
does.
Burger. Oh, you're getting excited now.
So good, buddy.
Singing his song.
That
He's
is
like,
my Aunt Shirley, my Uncle Bob, living in Resaca, Georgia. They they've both passed on now, but they had it on in television, and I think it was in television, whatever it was. It wasn't Atari because I had Atari, but it was one of those early gaming systems, and it had weird controllers. I remember that, and I would just sit and play Burger Time for hours just because it was cool and I didn't have it. That was the only time I got to see it was when I went to their house.
The progression of the gaming systems when we were kids, because I too had the Atari, and I don't remember playing it a ton because I was so young and it was hard to figure out. But again, hard to figure out. It was one joystick and one button.
The
and so that's pretty much what it was. And it wasn't until I remember it's 1986, and my mom for my birthday got me that Nintendo Entertainment System. And that changed everything.
Dude,
the whole world opened up. The whole neighborhood turned into, let's get over to the Medina house. He's got a Nintendo.
Oh, nice.
Dude, and playing it, and you had the combo. It was Duck Hunt and
Super Mario.
Yeah.
But that Duck Hunt with the whole light gun.
Yeah. That was amazing.
That was big.
Dude, it was so incredible. That was the most fun I think I've ever had playing video games, ever. And you're right. People would crowd into your house. And then as the games came out, like Double Dribble and Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
I had the original Final Fantasy. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever.
I wasn't very good at Legend of Zelda.
What was the one that was like the Olympics game where you had the pad on the ground that you had to stomp on to run?
Yeah, they did have that one. Now, that game is still like very popular in the multicade area.
Okay.
Because now you're just hitting the buttons in order to like you make your person run faster.
Got it.
That's not the real thing.
See, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, they used to have the pad it was a response pad for you to see if you can make your
not on the
faster.
Wii. You're not talking about the one on the Wii.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Nintendo.
Okay.
This is
because they had the one on the Wii too. That was kind of that same thing where you do yoga or
this is way before then. I mean, this is even like pre-Power Glove.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Power Glove. What was the one where you put the headset on and it was red, and if you kept it on too long, it ruined your vision?
I guess that one didn't stay in the market very long.
That's why I don't know about that one. I don't guess. The
vision.
Power Glove. I only saw that one time.
Was it in the Fred Savage movie? Because I did have one too.
No,
and it was pretty much useless.
Yeah, a friend had it, and I kept asking him how to use it, and he was like, "I can't figure it out." And because it had
Virtual Boy is what I'm talking about.
There you go.
It had the controller on the arm, right?
Yes, it was good for turning your game on and starting it, and then after that, it was really
useless.
Not of any use. They'd had a handful of games where it was supposed to be useful, but
I never saw it actually function the way it's supposed to.
If you want to talk about something got away from that era, if they were ever going to buy some sort of offshoot of the Nintendo Entertainment System, it was a Game Boy and the Game Boy alone. The Game Boy was huge.
That was next level Game Boys. You could take it on the road with you.
You didn't need a power glove. You didn't need any of the rest of it. You didn't need your pads for stomping on. You needed a Game Boy.
But then Sega one-upped them with a Game Gear that was in color.
Yeah. That's when things started getting amped up.
I loved the Game Gear. That was because for whatever reason, I never got a Game Boy.
If you're into marketing and Simple Jack, this is, again, it's a marketing thing. Look into how Sega ended up grabbing a large amount of the market share from Nintendo. They basically decided this is like a Coke-Pepsi battle, and we're going to try and make ourselves into the cool thing to buy. And it worked for them for a number of years. They were on top for a while.
Totally, because that's what I bought, and I couldn't wait to get a Sega Genesis.
Business marketing was genius.
Dude.
Sonic the Hedgehog was peak 90s.
Dude. Because it was just as good, in my opinion, as Super Mario Bros., right?
They had a genius marketing plan centered around a lot of celebrities, and it was Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
So good.
And that worked. 30 years ago, that had kids buying it. They're like, well, I don't want to buy the kid stuff. And the way now that it's like, hey, the Wii's a great product when that came out. But the only way that you had the market share coming back to Sony and to Microsoft is because, we got blood and guts, all right?
That's right.
That's a kid's toy.
That's right. Yeah, y'all going to shoot hoops, and we're going to blow people up. What do you think? Oh, my gosh. It's finally Friday, y'all. This is the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3. When we come back, what you're eating this morning may be a bioweapon. We're not sure. Next on Extra.
Illegal border crossings are down 87%, and Army recruitment hits a 15-year high. So tell us again what's wrong with America? Yeah, exactly. Get it right with Atlanta's only conservative voice, Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Join A Second Chance Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guests are Samantha Rousey Glass and Lieutenant Justin Bowles of the Jess Rousey Honoring Heroes Foundation. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at the podcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of the annual Duck Cluck event supporting Special Olympics Georgia. For just $10, you can adopt a rubber duck or grab a whole flock. Every dollar helps provide meals and housing for over 18,000 Special Olympics Georgia athletes. And if your duck is plucked, you can win some great prizes. Adopt your duck now at duckrace.com/Atlanta.
Hey, it's Front Office Lowe's here to tell you about a new company that is changing the way people buy their next pre-owned car or truck. At The Honest Car Guy, they offer a completely transparent way to purchase a vehicle. You pay what he pays, plus a small honest fee. You can choose any make or model. He will search the country for the best deal out there. He'll handle the paperwork, your trade-in, shipping, and even give you the bill of sale. Friends, I've done the research, and this is a buying process that you can trust. Call 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit online at honestcarguy.com.
Not available in all states. Rates vary. With all the economic uncertainty these days, building a financial safety net for your family can be tough. But with term life insurance through Ethos, you can have peace of mind that no matter the market's ups and downs, your family's financial future is secure. Make sure they can pay the mortgage, tuition, and other bills if something happens to you. With Ethos, you can get covered in as little as 10 minutes, 100% online. Get a free quote at ethos.com/honor. That's ethos.com/honor.
It's May 30th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Creativity Day. Founded in 2018, the day is meant to encourage everyone to celebrate the creative spirit and let their imaginations run wild. So whether your outlet is painting, music, filmmaking, even knitting, show the world your hidden talent. Also on this date in 1896, the first auto accident took place in New York City. Driver Henry Wells was taking part in a horseless wagon race when he lost control of his vehicle and crashed into cyclist Evelyn Thomas. Wells was arrested for the accident while Thomas suffered a broken leg. And in 2020,
ignition, liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon, go NASA, go SpaceX.
the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched from Cape Canaveral, carrying the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station, marking the first time a private company launched astronauts into space. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, May 30th. Wellstar announced yesterday plans for a new hospital in Cobb County. The proposed 230-bed facility would be built in Ackworth on Cobb Parkway, across from Wellstar Ackworth Health Park. Wellstar's CEO said the new facility is needed to serve Cobb County's booming population. If you filed your taxes, you'll soon see some extra dollars in your accounts. The one-time state rebate approved by Governor Kemp of $250 for individuals and $500 for couples is expected to be distributed in early June. The tax deadline was extended this year due to Hurricane Helene. And a tornado was confirmed to have touched down yesterday in Henry County. It crossed I-75 during rush hour. No fatalities were reported. Today's weather. Isolated storms continue this afternoon, but we'll finally get a break with clear and sunny weekend on the way. Today's high will be in the upper 70s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
It's in a pinch that I'll do this because I'll admit it's not my favorite place to go, but I know many people love McDonald's breakfast, and I used to love it. I just don't love it as much as I used to. I just feel like it's changed. It's different than it used to be when I was growing up. But in a pinch, there's been those times you're traveling in a pinch. It's a Sunday, you can't get Chick-fil-A, whatever it is. You decide, okay, I'm going to get the Egg McMuffin. It seems very basic. It's an egg, it's a cheese, it's a muffin, and a thin piece of Canadian bacon. How bad can it be? But then you find out the information that Los is about to share with you.
Full disclosure. Tug calls it a pinch. I've sought after the Egg McMuffin. Okay. It's a top 3, perhaps top 2 item all time when it comes to, like, I'm stopping to get fast food.
My wife would agree with that. My wife feels the same way. I'm not
crazy about Big Macs,
me either.
Filet of fish, the McRib, or anything. I will tell you, a Bill Miller sandwich, that's like a San Antonio thing when it comes to, like, fast food barbecue.
A Bill Miller, I love it.
A Bill Miller sandwich, that's number 1. Number 2 is a Whataburger. Again, Texas Whataburger. I don't know about around here. I haven't had it yet. And 3 is the Egg McMuffin. And I've had more Egg McMuffins than I've had of any of those 2.
How about that? All right.
Love the Egg McMuffin. So this is what I was reading. This is from Gary Brecka. And this is part of the whole Maha movement. Just tell us what's in our food. Because as we joked around about it, as we're talking earlier in the show, and we'll hear this with the Warrior Alliance, you talked to a 101-year-old World War II veteran who helped find Dachau and liberate it.
Camp. It's an unbelievable story.
And so, it'll be part of the podcast that we'll have coming up here over at Podcast Park.
I got a date, by the way, too, and I'll give it to you in a minute.
Okay, so we got a drop date for that one now. So there's a reason why it seems like our elders are living so much longer and better lives. It's part of it, we believe, and what Maha has been talking about is, what are we putting in our food that's making us so sick, that's making us such an unhealthy country? What are the preservatives we're using? All right, this from Gary Brecka. What is in your McDonald's sandwich? We'll start with the muffin. Made from enriched, and those are in quotes, flour, a fancy term for dead stripped carbs, and pumped with dough conditioners, another word I can't pronounce, and endocrine disruptors like ethanol, mono, and diglycerides. So that's the muffin part. The bacon is preserved with synthetic nitrates. There's a blood sugar bomb to it, and natural flavors, quote, that are anything but natural. Okay, what about the cheese? Because you just said it's a thin layer of, you get
surely
cheese
you can't
with
mess
it.
that up.
This isn't dairy. It's a cocktail of emulsifiers, citric acid, food dyes, and soy byproducts masquerading as food. It's not even cheese.
Oh, God.
They're not even using cheese on the Egg McMuffin. And how about, as you said, what about the small piece of whatever you're doing? In this case, let's say the hash brown. Fried in inflammatory seed oils, loaded with stabilizers, dextrose, and synthetic compounds to make it look, smell, and taste addictive. Why are they so good? Because that's that final little thing that they put in it to where you're like, you crave it. It's not even, as you just said, this is what it's supposed to be. It's not even that.
Oh, my God. Has it always, that's, I guess, the question I have, because as a kid growing up, it just seems different than it used to. And I would say that about a lot of things, but specifically McDonald's. Their breakfast, my daddy used to love their breakfast when I was a kid. We'd stop at it, and I loved it then. But I swear it's so different now. It makes me wonder, has it always been that way, or just in the last, 15, 20 years where they're like, how do we make it as cheap as possible? Doesn't matter if it's got nutrients or anything. Obviously, there's no nutritional value there.
Well, it's also pointed out, this is how chronic illness is manufactured one bite at a time. The issue we run into, and this is the question that we should all be asking, because when you go into a particular restaurant, you know here's what they're serving, and you're paying for what you're paying for it. In order for McDonald's to serve billions of people, they can't get to billions of people worth of food. So they're creating like some of these fake foods and then serving it to you.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that doing to your health? That's the question. That's the idea that we're trying to get to the bottom of this stuff.
Ask RFK. I think he would be happy to tell you what it's doing to you.
Because if you named, and as you started naming things about an Egg McMuffin, I was like, and that's why I love that Egg McMuffin. I'm supposed to love it because whatever they've put in there to make it addictive is telling my brain to come get it.
And we're pinning this on McDonald's, and it's bad, and it's bad.
But this is across the board.
It's not just them.
It's not just them.
I guarantee you your favorite place
has something like this to do this.
Guarantee it's Chick-fil-A.
In fact,
it's everybody.
Well, I know that my Bill Miller barbecue sandwich, my Bill Miller po' boy, probably has something to it where they're like, if we just give them a little bit of this. Remember,
a little extra dose.
The history will tell you that when Big Tobacco was basically started to get run out of Big Tobacco, they bought food. They bought big food.
Think about that. When they couldn't
advertise, couldn't get their products to everybody, they thought, how do we create better margins? What if we can feed everybody? And at no point of what we're doing is illegal as far as advertising. Let's buy big food.
So Big Tobacco owns big food.
And let's make that addictive so that people will consume it. And we won't get in any trouble because they ain't cigarettes.
No.
Here's some interesting numbers. According to the BBC, McDonald's has lost. McDonald's is selling less food now since 2020. The biggest drop since 2020 in 2025, and their prices since 2019 have risen 40% to eat garbage.
See, I wonder about, because there's always an equilibrium that's always found. That's just what economics will tell you, that if your prices are going up, does demand come down, and where does the new equilibrium meet? And the cost of everything is more. I think people are willing that if you know the cost of everything is more, go eat something better. And I think that's hurt McDonald's. But now you're at this point, because McDonald's used to be the place where if I got a family of 4 and I got to feed everybody for $28, I can do it. There's no chance of doing that now.
I mean, you both of you probably don't know this because you both eat better than I do, and it's just me that I'm feeding. So, yeah, I'll run through a drive-thru sometimes. A value meal at McDonald's now, to get a quarter pounder with cheese and a drink and fries, it's $14.
I was about to guess. I think because I remember we did something similar at like a Steak and Shake, and I thought, well, it's Steak and Shake. That's why it's $11.95 or $12.95. I'm like, no. It's like across the board like that everywhere now.
Taco Bell.
Dude, so expensive. And we try not to go to any fast food. The only thing we've been on is Chick-fil-A, and that's another one that's gone way, way up.
Yeah, but Taco Bell, you used to be able to go that was like a joke. You'd take $20 to Taco Bell and you'd go to a house party and feed
everybody.
That's right. Everybody.
You're like,
$20 at Taco
y'all
Bell
bring the beer, y'all bring the drinks, I'll bring the Taco Bell.
It's like a burrito, a chicken quesadilla, and a soda is $20.
So down the hall, They were talking to Cullen Madden, who runs all the operations, all technical operations in afternoons.
We've beat them senseless this morning.
That's right.
So down in 680.
So they were making fun of Cullen Madden a couple days ago because he apparently tied one on in New Orleans and then ended up at like a Taco Bell. And they were making fun of him for what he spent. And they're like, how much did you spend over at Taco Bell? And he was like, oh, it was like $35.
Good Lord.
Well, now here's the thing. $35 at Taco Bell now versus, let's say, 7 or 8 years ago. You got 7 or 8 years ago food for about 4 or 5 people.
Oh, yeah.
To scarf that thing.
Not anymore.
You're like 1.5 at $35. So when they're giving him a hard time, when he started naming off what he had because he held onto his receipt, I was like, that's not that much. And not compared to what it used to be.
And you brought up the chicken quesadilla, which is our kind of go-to. I mean, it's just really simple.
That good sauce on there.
Yeah. But now, just to save more money, dude, the chicken is so sparse. I mean, good. It's almost like there's no chicken on it at all. So not only are they charging you more, they're giving you much less. Obviously the sizes have shrunk, and which, I mean, I guess you expect in some ways or other, but at least give me what I'm paying for, and you don't even get that anymore.
2018, an Egg McMuffin was $2.59.
Oh my God! Let me guess what it is now. $2.59 then. I'm going to go $4.50.
Higher.
Higher?
It's on the menu. It's basically the average after is $5.43 for an Egg McMuffin.
Wow.
That's no drink? That's no hash browns?
That's the menu price
the
item.
entree, as they would call it.
Wow.
That's how much things cost these days. Good Lord. And it's painted with a lacquer. That's going to make it more addictive.
By the way, in 2024, because the price did come down a bit, it was $5.99 at McDonald's in 2024.
And now, what'd you say it was $5.29?
$5.43.
$5.43. So it's come down about 50 cents.
That is, and it's trash. It's bad.
So bad.
But so when you say, like, if Jerry was to go out one night and then tell us, like, I spent like $20 over at McDonald's. Now, several years ago, we'd be like, what did you get? Like, did you get like 7 Egg McMuffins? Yeah, I got 7 Egg McMuffins. I paid $20. All right. This time he got 4.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, probably less.
He got 3. He got 3 Egg McMuffins and a drink.
But you know what? All this bad news about the McMuffin doesn't affect me because I'm a McGriddles man.
The pure those super healthy. Those, yeah. You're right. You're good.
Don't tell me any bad news about the McGriddles.
Stop with all your nonsense.
All right. So, by the way, it says 2 griddle cakes, a folded egg, and either bacon, sausage, or steak, along with American cheese.
Steak at McDonald's, please.
I'm going to actually have to ask Grok what's actually in a McGriddle.
So hold that thought. We've already explained.
It's got that syrup already in the pancakes.
The McMuffin is a bioweapon.
Probably not even syrup.
Yeah, no.
It's a bioweapon.
It's so bad. So bad.
By the way, Dre, do you enjoy any fries whenever you go on over and grab some fries with anything over at McDonald's?
I do enjoy their fries.
All right, so before you were born, these were just potatoes, beef tallow, and salt. That's what the McDonald's fries were. That's what they built the reputation on.
Those were the good fries.
Now it's a seed oil, fake beef flavoring, and chemicals to make them addictive.
There is one chain, I can't remember who it was, but there is one chain that has made the switch to beef tallow.
Steak and Shake.
Is it Steak and Shake?
That's one of them.
Yes, that's right. They've been very vocal about it,
too. Telling everybody we're beef tallow. We are doing beef tallow.
Sharing it on social media. #Maha. I mean,
the seed oils is what I see all over Twitter. All the fitness people and all the health people say seed oils is really one of the biggest criminals.
If you can cook with, like, let's just say extra virgin olive oil, which the reason why we've done it for 20-some years was just because so many of those oils, my wife was having allergic reactions to them. I mean, this is like early 2000s. So they've been out of our house. So my daughters have never experienced like, oh, we're cooking with canola oil or this sort of oil. They had no idea. Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the cases is that if you can use some of the cleaner oils, then it's better overall for your food.
Or just real butter.
Or
that's the other thing. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, real butter. Like, real butter's better for you. Now, obviously, I have a problem with butter just as far as it messes with me, but now, rather than it's better for you than like fake butters or the margarines or anything else like that.
I love that Irish butter.
You get after that one. Also, by the way, McDonald's fries have 19 different ingredients. By the way, your McGriddle. 19 is what
hit me with the McGriddle news.
As I can give you as far as the name of like the oxidized seed oils, the dysphosphates,
the fact you can't pronounce it should tell you all you need to know.
The mono and diglycerides. Now, here's basically what it is. It said, just to sum it up, what it gives you is gut disruptors, inflammatory oils, blood sugar chaos, and zero nutritional value.
Gut Disruptor sounds like a band. That's a metal band.
Playing the Roxy next week.
You go see Gut Disruptor.
I guess whenever you eat that McGriddle or two and you're like, man, I don't feel good right now. It's like it was designed to not make you feel good, but for you to want it some more.
That's right. It's so bad, I'll take it again.
Oh, man.
Gosh. Used to be you just make fun of gas station food. Now you just make fun of it all because it's all so bad.
That's the whole idea with Maha. Just tell me what's in there so that I can choose, even though I love Egg McMuffins, to never, ever consider an Egg McMuffin ever again.
Never, ever.
I'm telling you, that carnivore diet, I've been considering it. It's looking more and more reasonable every day. Steak and eggs.
I'm going to reach
out
to Peeps and I'll be like, I will take those farm fresh eggs. Not for me. Like, I want to give my daughters farm fresh eggs.
She's got, I looked out because I made one this morning. And, on the little thing, Peeps Farm, and it says unwashed eggs. So it still has the membranes. You can just throw them up on the counter. Just so delicious, so terrific. When we come back, we probably need to run an intervention with our brethren down the hall, 680 The Fan, because sports media has gone off the rails on the crazy train. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 30th. The Atlanta Braves split their doubleheader in Philadelphia as they dropped the afternoon affair 5-4 before taking the evening affair at 9-3. The final afternoon starter, A.J. Smith-Shawver, left the game early after reportedly hearing a pop in his pitching elbow. He's been sent back to Atlanta for medical evaluation. Tonight, the Braves open up a 3-game series at Truist Park with the visiting Boston Red Sox. It'll be Grant Holmes on the mound. He'll be making the start for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Lucas Giolito. First pitch is set for 17, and that will be an Apple TV Plus exclusive broadcast. So make sure you download our sister station's app, 680 The Fan, to get the play-by-play. And the Edmonton Oilers will face the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals after beating the Dallas Stars last night 6-3 the final in order to take that Western Conference Finals series in just 5 games. The Stanley Cup Finals will begin next Wednesday. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
If you're going to do an upgrade, is there a time that you choose to do that upgrade? I mean, so if it's your phone, like when it stops working, when they quit doing the update, or they send an update to make it slow down so it doesn't work anymore, and then you have to buy it. So I guess there is a particular time. But with your home, I mean, right now's the time. You're headed into spring. People are going to be out walking in the neighborhood, walking their dog. People are going to be out looking at homes, maybe in your neighborhood. Maybe there's 1 or 2 for sale. You want your home to be the one when they drive by that you're like, man, I wish that one was for sale. That's the one. God, that's the most beautiful house in this whole neighborhood. You can have that curb appeal if you work with Southern Exteriors. Roofing, siding, gutters, windows, doors, they do it all, and they bring quality and precision to every job. Right now, take 10% off any project or choose 12 months, 0% financing. They're not going to pressure you. They're not going to be like, well, you need to make this decision today or we're going to move on. We got other people in line. They don't do any of that. When you're ready to boost your curb appeal, when you're ready to make your home the envy of the neighborhood, give it the upgrades it needs, then trust Southern Exteriors. Call them whenever you're ready. They've been doing this since 1999. They've been around a while, and they can help you. 8779-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co, 8779-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co.
If you're thinking about a new Chevy, don't wait. Now's the time. Head to Jim Ellis Chevrolet where the price is right now.
Lock in your lowest price today before prices start to rise due to new tariffs. Shop early while inventory is strong. Right now, Jim Ellis Chevrolet has more than 400 vehicles in stock on the ground, ready to take home today. That includes the legendary Silverado, family-friendly SUVs like the Equinox, Tahoe, and Suburban, one of the largest Corvette selections in the metro Atlanta area. And if you're shopping pre-owned, you'll find a great selection of certified vehicles too, thoroughly inspected and ready to roll.
At Jim Ellis Chevrolet, you'll find exactly what you want, but don't wait too long. Get yours today before prices go up and vehicle selection goes down. No pressure, no games, just a transparent customer-first experience that makes buying easy.
And after the sale, Jim Ellis Chevrolet is still with you thanks to factory-trained technicians who will keep your Chevy running strong. For the latest offers, stop by their showroom on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Or shop anytime at JimEllisChevrolet.com. Jim Ellis Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
A golf instructor who knows technique can improve an aspiring pro's swing. But one who really cares can help transform a career.
There he is, your new champion.
When you team up with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
An overwhelmed mom from San Diego who was given a helping hand from a kind waitress in Tokyo, Japan, makes today's Dean's List. First-time mom Maggie Boyton was traveling with her husband while he was on business, and despite being excited for the adventure, there were tough moments along the way. While they were out one night for dinner, instead of enjoying themselves, they were like all new parents, juggling sitting down for a meal and taking care of a fussy baby at the same time. And that's when a really touching moment happened, when a waitress asked if she could take care of their child while they enjoy their dinner. Maggie says this incredible act of kindness deeply moved her. At first, she hesitated, but she knew right away that the woman really wanted to help, and that's when she just trusted her instincts. And in those few minutes, Maggie says she was given a renewed sense of connection and gratitude. Janice Dean, Fox News.
Once again, the violence comes from the left. If we're going to have hate speech laws, then let's use them. Anyone who utters free Palestine from now on should be immediately arrested for hate speech because it's calling for the genocide of the Jewish people. The hell with the Palestinians.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
I'm going to set this up as a discussion from the point of view that I know best, country music. Country stars and country fans, mostly conservative. Country media, country industry, very liberal. They don't go together for the most part. And it's surprising that it works the way it does because of the rough nature of politics. And you're seeing this, and this is something that Los experienced for how long you work sports radio? 20 plus years?
20 years, yeah. 20 some years.
It seems very similar to me, sports radio, the media side of it versus the actual athletes and the fans. Seems like media, liberal, fans and athletes, mostly conservative.
Well, if you want to know the difference, if you think to yourself, well, the political media is decidedly liberal. Well, I mean, you are correct there. Sports media is even crazier.
Oh, my Lord.
Sports media is a different level of liberalism because largely they're playing in a fantasy world. You know, at least politics, there's almost a give and take and a cause and effect, and there's a reaction to every interaction. There's something that occurs. That doesn't happen in sports media. So you get to hold up this idealistic nature of what you believe things should be. It's the reason why when you have Sunday Night Football going on and Bob Costas feels very comfortable telling you all about what we should do about guns, and you're like, dude, I'm just trying to watch Sunday Night Football.
Dude, that's so irritating.
Or when Peter King writes his column about what's going on in the world, and you go, how crazy left are you? Like, you're not even delving into real life. So just as another example of this, and let's go back 14 years ago. The Braves had a pitching coach in Roger McDowell, had an incident in San Francisco where fans claimed that he approached him with a bat and basically threw out some gay slurs at him and was threatening towards him because they were mocking him.
Yep, I remember that.
Major League Baseball jumped in. The Braves jumped in. Everybody jumped in. Within about 48 hours, Roger McDowell has a suspension, and he's apologizing for how he reacted. And that's what occurred. If you haven't paid attention to what's gone on in the past week and a half, and nor should you, it's the WNBA.
Yeah, why would you, right?
But you had Angel Reese, one of the faces of the league, claimed that some of the treatment that she got when she was at the Indiana Fever game playing against Caitlin Clark,
Yep.
that they were mocking her with gorilla noises and making racial slurs at her. The WNBA immediately circled the wagons, like, we're going to look into this. We're going to check this out. What occurred? Went through all the video, went through all the audio. None of it was true. None of it. And so for the better part of about 72 hours, the WNBA ran with this. It's the reason why your sweet aunt turned into like the Angel Reese fan.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you.
She's my favorite player.
Told me this past weekend. Been watching a lot of the WNBA. Do you watch that? I was like, no. Why would I? Well, she's just really entertaining. It's a really great sport. And I was like, I've seen some highlights. Doesn't look all that good to me.
So as it turns out, this is another Juicy Smoulier situation.
Who just got a new movie.
You claim that this occurred to you, and then, then you have the truth come out, and there's supposed to be a backlash. And in the political world, there was. In the comedy world, there was. In the sports world, no one asked Angel Reese about any of it. In fact, she's at the podium after the WNBA has basically absolved the entire people of Indianapolis. The Dave Portnoy, who attended the game, basically the guy who runs all of Barstool, it's claim making gorilla monkey noises at me. Well, no, and then it showed what he was actually doing, and he was cheering. So after all that, the WNBA media just goes, don't bring it up with her. In fact, let's just sweep it under the rug. That is how crazy leftists they are. It's a totally different brand of leftism. It's a whole, whatever you think, that when you hear from like Joe Scarborough, know that the Peter Kings, the Bob Costas, and those people that cover are probably about 2 or 3 times more.
It's unbelievable to think. And the only thing, by sweeping it under the rug, the only thing it does is encourages it to happen again. Because there's no repercussions for lying. There's no repercussions for making it up.
It's a go-to. In fact, you had the scenario, and this was a couple of years ago, where it was a volleyball player who claimed when they were in a match, and I believe it was an ACC matchup, that they were getting racial taunts from the stands. Again, fully investigated, nothing. Now, this player was not playing well. Yeah. Suddenly, nobody said a thing. Remember, we had the South Carolina women's basketball coach that, based on racial accusations, decided, well, I'm not going to let my team play against that team. They were accusations. They were never the truth. I mean, you would have think that Duke lacrosse would have taught you something.
No, that was...
something you should actually look into.
It taught them something. It taught them how to taught people how to use...
the sports world to create this.
Absolutely right.
Because that district attorney, Nai Fong, he's not allowed to practice law anymore because of what he did and how he railroaded those kids without ever actually looking at the evidence and looking into maybe, just maybe, these women are lying. Okay?
But you can't say that. You have to... we have to believe every woman, right?
There's a bunch of 20-year-old white guys, and they play lacrosse, and they are well-to-do. And
they're definitely guilty.
And these black women claimed that this is what happened to them. They were raped in a house. Ooh. Again, that's taking it to the extreme. This is still about what happens with the sports media, and the sports media is decidedly liberal. Now, if you go down the hall, you won't actually find that with our guys. Most of them are pretty middle of the road, maybe a little bit left, a little bit right. I enjoy Nick Cellini. Nick Cellini was the one other guy in this building. Nick Cellini, you can always listen to Nick and Chris every single day from 10 to 2.
Such a great show.
Nick would come into the control room when I'm getting ready to do my show, or he'd be doing his show, and he would just come in and he would go, I don't know what all the fuss is about. We're all going to get COVID anyway. He was the only other person he was the only other person in the building saying the exact same thing I was, and then he'd go on the air. It's I really appreciate some of these measures that the SEC is taking in the NFL. So he's playing the game there. And then as soon as he would get off the air, bunch of whiny babies.
But that's awful that you feel like you have to play the game. You know what I mean?
That's the nature of what happens.
But that's a terrible...
No, I didn't.
Terrible feeling. Well, right, and you got exiled down here.
What do you mean you reject the premise and this is all built on a lie? Go down the hall.
You must go down the hall.
Don Imus of 680.
You're telling too much truth over there. But that's what would happen in the sports media, that it is wildly liberal. To the point where a racial accusation, they go, didn't happen. Man, this looks bad on us. Shh. Don't bring it up with anybody ever again, ever.
Until next time. And then blow it out of proportion again. And then when it comes to being, false.
And I would imagine that for many people in this audience, this is the first you've heard about this.
Yeah, because who's keeping up with the WNBA?
Exactly. But think about it in the terms of like to like. Imagine Tiger Woods early in his career, because remember the Fuzzy Zeller thing was like, whoa, that was big. And Fuzzy Zeller's making jokes, but they were wildly inappropriate. Mm-hmm. Fuzzy Zeller thought to himself, hey, this guy's about to win his first Masters, and let me make it about me, because you get the champions dinner.
Yeah.
And Fuzzy Zeller's like, well, make sure he doesn't serve fried chicken or collard greens or whatever they eat.
Yeah.
And
So
immediately
ridiculous.
lost like every marketing deal, and probably should have.
Absolutely.
I was like, you went after one of the new primary stars, one of the guys that's going to change golf. Okay, the WNBA is hoping for the same thing out of Angel Reese. Like the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, this will be our thing to go for the future. And she went Jessie Smollett.
Yeah.
She went with Juicy. Dude. And they then decided, well, let's cover it up. It would be very similar if Tiger Woods at the start of this was like, well, I'm getting all this racial treatment. Then they look into it and they're like, no, you're not. It's like, Tiger had already signed like an $80 million deal with Amex. He's like, ain't no racial treatment I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with a lot of money coming my way.
$80 million. God, Tiger Woods, one of the greatest.
Yeah, but imagine early on in the career if that's what Angel Reese was pushing. But you never heard about it.
And you never will.
Because the media were like, bury that thing.
Hide it until next time, and then blow it out of the portion. Blow it out of proportion again. All right, when we come back on Xtra 106.3, 6 o'clock hour, brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. For all the media rage against Trump, it's failing because his idea is working. Next on Xtra.
Neil Bortz is only live on Xtra 106.3, bringing you daily commentary on the biggest topics of the day. Catch him throughout the day or hear his latest on the Xtra 106.3 app.
Its intelligent technology is intuitive. Its responsive performance, responsible. Turbo power with a hybrid assist, a digital yet sensual cockpit, and sporty elegance helps make the C-Class a driver's delight and paradise for passengers. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz C300 sedan, just $499 per month for 36 months with $5,043 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through May 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia lemon law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Fox on Tech. Which iOS is that on your iPhone? If you've kept up with updates, you have some version of iOS 18. Apple is known for debuting its version updates in the fall, and this fall would mean you'd get iOS 19, right? Well, not according to Bloomberg, which says Apple is reworking how it names its operating systems and will now notate them for the year, meaning your next big iOS version will be iOS 26 for 2026. Think of it like model years for cars, where the model year begins at the end of the previous year. Ditto for iPad OS, Watch OS, TV OS, Mac OS, even Vision OS for the Apple Vision Pro. The reasoning behind the name changes for Apple to make things more uniform. Currently, there are wildly different version numbers for the differing software. The big announcement officially will come at the company's Worldwide Developers Conference, planned for June 9th. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
This is House Call for Health. For the nearly 1 in 4 Americans suffering from knee pain, a recent study reveals pain relief may be possible through the ear. According to early trial results published in the journal Osteoarthritis and Cartilage Open, stimulating the vagus nerve through the ear improved knee pain for some patients. For the initial trial, using a vagus nerve simulation device placed on the ear for an hour, the device then sent electrical pulses to the branch of the vagus nerve running through the ear. Overall, a third of the participants felt a noticeable improvement in their knee pain following treatment. As a next step, researchers say the findings were solid enough to warrant a larger follow-up clinical trial. But they note the innovative treatment option is already approved by the Food and Drug Administration for treating other conditions, such as epilepsy and depression. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
The Morning Extra. Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck, and The Kimmer Show on WFOM and W292EV Marietta on Dickey Broadcasting Station. Extra 106.3.
The Trump tariffs remain in place for now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After a federal appeals court put a hold on a Wednesday trade court ruling that blocked many of the new U.S. tariffs imposed on imports from many countries. White House Counselor for Trade Peter Navarro tells Fox Business.
We feel like we're on very strong legal grounds in both the fentanyl tariff case and the reciprocal tariff case.
The trade court had ruled the president exceeded his authority with those tariffs, and he posted on Truth Social, were the judges motivated by Trump hatred? And he called their ruling a threat to presidential power, urging the Supreme Court to take quick, decisive action. Those tariffs led to a lot of trade negotiations with different countries. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Fox talks with China have stalled, and the president and China's premier may have to get together.
Given the magnitude of the talks, given the complexity that this is going to require both leaders to weigh in with each other.
There are also negotiations trying to get a new ceasefire in Gaza, and Hamas is now reviewing a U.S. proposal that Israel supports.
Reports suggest Hamas would release 10 living hostages and the remains of others during the 60-day pause. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and pull back forces to positions before the last ceasefire ended in March.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Someone who rose to fame after 9/11 has died. Bernie Carrick. He was New York City Police Commissioner and helped coordinate the emergency response to the terror attack. Later nominated to be the head of Homeland Security, but he withdrew and then had legal trouble.
He pleaded guilty to 8 felonies, including tax fraud and lying to the White House. Carrick spent nearly 3 years in prison and went on to get a pardon from President Trump. FBI Director Kash Patel announced his death, posting that Carrick passed away after a private battle with illness.
Fox's Jill Nato. In London, actor and comedian Russell Brand pleaded not guilty this morning to charges that he raped or sexually assaulted 4 women in allegations that date back between 1999 and 2005. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go. Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that the results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Are 30-day sample packs available?
You can now access a 30-day sample pack at TryRexMD.com with generics if appropriate. Online approval at TryRexMD.com is simple, with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit TryRexMD.com to get your sample pack. That's TryRexMD.com.
No traffic, no big deal. It's the Morning Extra on 106.3.
So awesome to see the Braves get a win. You heard Los in the sports update talk about the Braves getting the second game of that doubleheader versus the Phillies last night. A really cool stat came out of it in that Chris Sale hit his 2500th, if I can speak here, career strikeout, fastest in Major League Baseball history, which was exciting to see. It was so funny when they had the ball on the field and Austin Riley acted like he was going to throw it and everybody was jumping toward him like, no, that's the one. 2,500 right there, don't do it. And then he just turned around and smiled. This is so funny to see you fake him out like that.
When you consider that we've played this game for over 100 years.
Dude.
there's 40 guys that have accomplished this.
And
total.
he's the fastest ever.
40.
Dude, it's unreal.
I just love to see baseball. When baseball players are having fun doing baseball things, like when they freeze somebody out, they hit a big home run, they come back into the dugout, and everybody just turns their back.
Oh, yes, the
Stuff
greatest.
like that. Baseball's best.
It's a long season. Like, you got to find a share of bits that you're doing.
No, that's right. It's funny because I asked my son about this because he, they played I think 55 games or something, not including, scrimmages or anything like that. And he's coming up and he's like, my body's just sore. And I'm sure you experienced this when you played college baseball as well. He just said, my body's sore. And I was like, can you imagine 162?
It's a reason why, as you get, and you'll see this more with catchers than any other position.
Oh, gosh.
When you get into August and September, a lot of guys go to a lighter bat because they've built their body up leading into spring training, and you're trying to work out. And most of your weight training is not about building muscle, it's about maintaining. But just over the course of the season, as you're getting beaten up, some guys go to a little bit lighter bat. Now, we're not talking anything crazy, like maybe an ounce or two, but just something where they're able to mentally feel like they're still strong, even though they know I'm not where I was in February or March, April.
I know the Braves aren't where they want to be, and hopefully where they'll be by the All-Star break or even shortly after that. But the fact that Alex Anthopoulos saw Chris Sale and took a chance on him,
largely off of 2 injury-plagued seasons.
That's right, and I believe,
and he only threw in September when he came back, so he was doing it off of about 3 or 4 starts. And their front office, I'll give them a lot of credit. One of the things they do is they look for value based on guys coming back from injury. Like the year when they signed Josh Donaldson, everyone's like, you just gave Josh Donaldson a 1-year deal and it's for $23 million. Well, when he came back from injury, all the numbers started showing that Josh Donaldson, as far as how hard he's swinging, what he's doing, looks the same as how he did when he was an all-star. And so they gave him the 1-year deal and obviously played great and then parlayed that into the deal. He was the bridge guy to Austin Riley. Same thing with Chris Sale. They were like, we like what we see. We think we can turn this into something, and it turned into a Cy Young Triple Crown season.
Holy cow. And now 2,500 strikeouts in a Braves uniform. Fastest to get there. I think that is the wisdom that I don't think I have that vision. And I guess not many people do. That's the reason Alex Anthopoulos is where he is. But just to be able to say, because I'll admit, when they brought Sale over, you're like, man, I have my fingers crossed. I know he has the ability.
I was hoping he'd be a number 3 starter.
Right? Exactly.
I remember talking about that on these airways and when we were doing the sports updates about how he's going to pitch and that hopefully he's an eventual number 3 starter. He's the best pitcher in baseball last year.
I mean, it's nuts. It is so nuts to see that happen.
He was good last night.
Holy cow, was he?
Man, he was tough. That was exactly what they needed last night based off of that afternoon game where they fall behind, they tie it up, and then they lose in the way they did. They needed a bounce back, and he gave them a really nice bounce back.
Yeah, we'll take it. And hopefully we can parlay that. I saw where Barrett Sallee, the Braves reporter, he was like, it starts today. It starts today to the moon.
You keep going with that mentality.
Yeah, I know, right? I love it, man. I think it's great. And I want that to be the case.
You're going to have to find another starter because it looks like Smith Shawver's going to miss the remainder of the year.
Sucks.
He talked about having a pop in the elbow, and that's typically right there when you start talking about that ulnar collateral ligament, that UCL, that Tommy John surgery stuff. So it's on to the next guy. It's like, let's see what the next thing's going to be. You're going to have to bring somebody up.
I know. And I don't know who that's
your 5th starter was Grant Holmes, who's going to throw. Right. And Grant Holmes, I think,
he's been great.
He's been really solid.
And that haircut,
you can't beat it. It is true Kenny Powers. Like, it looks straight out of Eastbound and Down, the HBO series.
So good.
The Danny McBride, he looks exactly like that look. But you're going to have somebody who's going to come up, and eventually that Smith Shawver start, when it comes around to them, you're going to have to fill that somehow.
I
don't know if you can throw like a 4A player at that.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed. We'll see how it shakes out. One thing I certainly know that is working, and that is Trump's policies. When you look at the consumer confidence that's happening, now I know MSNBC and NBC and those outlets didn't want to report it, but they had to. Consumer confidence is through the roof. People see that what was the number you had? 75% of Americans think we're on the right track, something like that?
We are now at a majority of America. We have never been, in terms of modern polling, at a place where over 50% of Americans say that we are on the right track as a country. Most of the times, even things are going well, you'll still have 46, 48% that'll say, all right, we're on the right path. And the other part, well, I'm not really sure. We're now into the plus 50-some range that believe America's heading the right direction.
Now, if you listen to those mainstream outlets, they'll tell you things are terrible. Things are awful. Trump is he's a dictator. They're sticking with that, even though nobody believes it. But I want you to hear from Kevin Hassett. He's the White House National Economic Council Director. He knows things are going well, and the media can't stand it.
And did you see the consumer sentiment numbers that came out? So the people are starting to see that Trump policies are working. They had a couple of months where their sentiment was down because they were listening to the media saying, oh, this is going to be the end of the economy. But now we're seeing that the policies are working. Business investment is skyrocketing. Jobs are skyrocketing. Inflation's going down. It's exactly as we said.
America's decline is over. That's what I would say. Because that's what it feels like. We were in decline for such a long time, at least 4 years, when they did everything they could to undermine America. They were doing it didn't matter if it was culturally, if it was fiscally, if it was any other sector that they could. They kicked open the doors to the borders. How do we manipulate voting? How do we send jobs away? How do we ruin and bankrupt America? Because that's their goal. That's what these socialists want to do. They want to destroy America. That's why they said at the DNC. How do we tear it down and remake it the way we see fit?
It's a question that liberal Aunt Peg and the others will have to ponder when they have a little quiet time at night, maybe a little wine, maybe 5 or 6 cats around, or when your liberal uncle, as he's jumping on Facebook and wondering like why is Donald Trump having all this success? We're just gonna have to ask him this himself. At some point, they'll say this: how did he do in 100 days what my guy couldn't do in 4 years? And it's a very simple answer. They didn't want to do it.
That's right. Just like with the border.
You create scenarios where there's economic security for everyday Americans. You actually are giving power away. That is the very nature of what happens. When you create less government dependence, when you create more independently wealthy or independent people, they look to the government less. And that goes against your very communist nature. So you're looking around going like, well, how did Trump do this in 100 days? Like, it's not some sort of expert reasoning. You've just decided to unleash the American economy to do what it does when it's left alone, or when it's aided in a lot of cases. When we bring up the tariff policy, and where I said I'm in a wait and see, because tariff policy is basically protectionism. But the problem is that everybody around the world was practicing protectionism except us.
Except us.
That's right. So it's like, why are we not getting in this game? It's worth trying, and here we go. We see what happens. Now, that was the other part, too. Well, a judge decided he can't do it. Well, the Congress decided in 1963 he could, and that's already been reinstated.
Yeah.
That lasted for a 12-hour victory of the left. Yeah, no more tariffs. The Canadian Prime Minister, I told you you're going away 3 hours later. Back on, brother.
Dude, the Canadian Prime Minister, when he was out there just barking, Trump's breaking laws, and he's saying all this stupid nonsense.
Laws?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But he doesn't know. He just knows he's a socialist, and he doesn't like the fact that America is going to defend itself because we never have before, to your point.
That's all.
He hated that.
We are just putting in a situation where we've leveled the playing field. And again, Joe Biden, in some cases he did. There's video when he's talking about instituting tariffs, although he never executed them against the Chinese and didn't seem like he was executing them against anyone else. He was just talking the game in order to settle the markets on this stuff. This could have been done at any point. Maybe not by Joe Biden, but the board of directors. They could have done this in the interest of the American people, and they never did. And why is that? Because they never wanted to. And they could have secured the border at any point, but they didn't want to.
The parallel to that is media could have told you the truth the whole time, but they didn't want to.
This is one of the great operations that's happening right now. The more you see Jake Tapper everywhere, and we told you this very early on, this is an operation to try and absolve the media. And it's easier for them to say, we were fooled, rather than saying we were complicit.
Yeah,
complicit means you're done. Fool just means you're dumb. They've chosen will be dumb versus complicit.
Yeah.
The problem is you knew what was going on. You were complicit, and it makes you dumb for never thinking that there might be an outcome that might be bad for you. Look what happened to Jen Psaki. I know as we bounce around some of these stuff. Look what happened to Jen Psaki in the last 48 hours.
She's out.
You've got 40 to 48% of the MSNBC nighttime audience that is checked out. They're like, we're done. This isn't going to work. This isn't working. You're still pushing Joe Biden era stuff at us. I told you, I could fix MSNBC in 1 month. Daddy's going to show up, give you a whole lot of cough medicine. You're going to hate watch me the entire time. But your audience numbers will go through the roof.
Yeah, it'll skyrocket. But they're too married to their socialist ideas.
Yes.
They want what Joe Biden provided, or the board of directors, whoever was making a decision. That's what they wanted. That's the reason they looked the other way. It's not because they were dumb. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Like I would
not doing.
Start broadcast 1. Let's have an honest conversation. Sit down on my couch. You are losing. You're losing badly. Now, there's a way back to being relevant, but most of you do not want to do it. Similar to the people that are 60 pounds overweight, like that liberal influencer who's going to win back the
Juliana.
Did you see what she put out yesterday after all of her anger?
Men are peas.
She was spouting off about, I can lose 65 pounds. Baby girl, it ain't that easy. And that's the problem that the left currently sees these things. They look at it as like, we can get back these men. It ain't that easy. We can get back to prominence. It's not that easy. We're going to be able to get back and win these races and be able to win nationally. It's not that easy. You have work to do. The problem is they don't want to do the work.
And they hate the idea of what the work would cause. They don't want America to be successful. That's not their goal.
Let's start with this. Hey, we messed up at the border. Hey, we messed up with this.
But they didn't.
Well, no, according to their own plan. In the end, here's the deal. In their own crazy views of what their long-term goal is, 100% absolutely, they meant to do it. It was part of their big plan. It was intentional the entirety of the way. They wanted to secure more votes so they could maintain power, especially electoral power out of New York, California. Right. They had to maintain the votes when people were leaving.
Because they were losing representatives.
Long-term play, 2030 census, you're going to count all of our illegals we brought in. That was the long-term play. Short-term, you don't have power. You don't have influence because you messed up. It's a balancing act. Barack Obama, for all the things he was, he understood the balancing act. Yeah, I want to fundamentally change America, but I can't do the extreme things because then we end up out of power and they won't vote for us again.
Which is correct.
I can take over the medical industry, but I can't let in 10 million illegals.
Yeah, it's one or the other. I got to do one at a time because I want to do both.
Yeah, I can sell to you that taking over 1/5 of the American economy and putting it under the umbrella of the federal government will be a long-term help for you. If you like your plan, you can keep it. Okay, I can tell you all these things. This is going to drive down the cost of all this. I can lie to your face, and you might go along with it. You might say, Obamacare doesn't sound like it's a terrible idea. They got these health care exchanges. We'll figure out a way to make this happen. All right, I can sell you that. I can't sell you on. You've got 10 million new friends.
Also.
And we don't know who they are.
It's one at a time.
But here's how it's going to benefit you.
The beauty of what Obama had, though, was Biden in office, which was unexpected to begin with, as we've covered a million times. He was the sacrificial lamb. They knew where they were going to lose.
The ultimate puppet.
Yeah, that's right. And then he was able to do, under Biden's name, what he wanted to do then, right? Because he couldn't do all those things. Now, he already got Obamacare. Disaster. Worst thing that could have happened to American medicine ever. And now, under someone else's name, he's able to pull the lever of open the border.
So they have a choice. You can admit that Trump's policies are working, which we've already seen the detriment that causes.
Yeah.
But I think if you really want to be that person, again, I'm sitting at the desk. I'm sitting in Jen Psaki's desk, little red lying hood. I'm like, I'm in your chair, baby girl. You can't fill this chair. I got this thing. And what I would start off by saying is, let's be honest, some Donald Trump policies are working. All right, now, what is our ideas? Because now it's because I'm on MSNBC. Yeah, what are our ideas to enhance these? How do we
take his good idea and make it a great
idea? How are we enhancing stuff that's working for the American people? You have to start with the premise that it is working.
They would never.
And that's the problem they have.
They would never.
That TDS man is so deep.
To say that Hitler's policies are good? Can you imagine having to say that out loud?
They're working?
The dictator's policies are working, then America is improving because of our person being not voted in, and the dictator we told you that was going to sink America is actually lifting it?
So all they have, and this would be the next topic, for any one of you who comes back and does, well, the only reason Kamala Harris was not in the office because it's sexist and racist.
Yeah, bigoted.
First off, let's go ahead and take that and let's put it in a box and throw it in the bottom of the Atlantic, because that doesn't work. What it was, she was a bad candidate. Let's be honest. She's a terrible candidate.
They know it too.
She couldn't talk. She couldn't get out in front of anybody. She couldn't talk about any sort of policy, to the point where we actually had to sit through a debate where after the debate, one of the primary talking points was, hey, were those earrings Bluetooth? Because she was being fed information. And by the way, you remember what happened the morning we got back to work. And you were like, I don't know how well that debate went. And I went off. I was like, are you guys kidding? That was perfect. It was a 3-on-1. I was like, it was Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and 2 other people. I was like, that couldn't have gone better for us to show you how rigged this game is.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I say all of that to point out the grown-up discussion is you need better candidates. The machine is the machine, but you need better candidates. That's the adult conversation.
AOC is their number one.
That's not a good candidate. Like, her own constituency is like, this woman she's an actress. She's an actress. She got the position through being an actress.
Not that much different than Kamala Harris. Kind of the same that, she would, I don't know if she was an actress, but she acted the part. She was never qualified to be a vice president. She had never had the experience to be a vice president.
She end up in scenarios where it was, well, listen, she's an Indian woman. This is going to help us. Oh, listen, you make her district attorney. Oh, we can keep pushing. She kept being pushed up the ladder.
Absolutely. It was intentional. All the steps were intentional.
Every single time. It wasn't until we actually had the 2020 Democrat primary when she could not secure 1% of the vote was when they went, okay, maybe we push this thing a little too far, because it's a pretty empty suit.
Only in the fact that she couldn't do the job. That's why they thought we pushed it too far. Not because of the policies or the ideas. They wanted to implement those. They just chose the wrong vessel to get them there.
They could not get the backing.
That's right.
They really thought to themselves, in part because it was pushed by the Obamas, this is female Obama. She couldn't resonate.
Because, look,
she couldn't resonate.
Obama I have nothing in common with. He was so charismatic. He was so easy to like. Even though you knew, and I knew, under the surface, he's bad for us. He's bad for America. But people were so mesmerized, almost like a Hollywood actress that walks off the set and just is captivating. He had that.
Yeah,
he had the
that,
it factor.
He had that charisma.
Yeah, that charisma is exactly right. Zach Brown Band was saying, had whatever it is. He had it. When we continue on Xtra 106.3, the auto pen controversy continues because we have more signatures than answer, and the answer is about who signed those signatures. Next on Xtra 106.3.
Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn back until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Xtra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
The warm air, the beautiful weather, and the sounds of baseball. It's got you thinking about hitting the road. And no matter where your adventures take you, Subaru of Gwinnett has a vehicle to get you there safely and in style. Like the 2025 Subaru Outback, which will take you as far as you want to explore with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive plus up to 32 miles per gallon. And if you're up for adventure, it'll get you off the beaten path with up to 9.5 inches of ground clearance. More than the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 or the 2025 Subaru Forester, the SUV for all you love. It's the right-sized SUV for all the adventures ahead with a spacious and comfortable interior for everyone you want to bring along. And no matter where adventure takes you, it starts on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth with the amazing staff at Subaru of Gwinnett. They'll help you find the Subaru that you'll love and be there every step of the way for everything you need. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Cowart for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guests are Samantha Rousey Glass and Lieutenant Justin Bowles of the Jess Rousey Honoring Heroes Foundation. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not meet us than meet us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Fox Facts. We drizzle it on pancakes, swirl it into our tea, even spread it on toast. But did you know that honey never spoils? Archaeologists have found pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are over 3,000 years old, and they're still perfectly edible. The secret lies in honey's natural properties, like its low moisture content and acidic pH, which prevents bacteria and microorganisms from growing. And it's been used for centuries not just as a sweetener, but as a natural remedy for everything from sore throats to wounds. Honey is made by bees, which collect nectar from flowers and transform it into the delightful food that Walt Disney's Winnie the Pooh can't get enough of.
Everything is honey, everywhere I see.
So that jar of honey that's been sitting in your pantry for a few months or even a few years could basically last forever. Sweet, right? Matt Murphy, Fox News.
Fox on Tech.
Wildfires spread quickly, but now NASA's helping crews move faster. Here's the principal investigator behind the tech, Dr. Robert Green.
A real-time product that could tell the first responders where's the fire, how hot is it. They were using that information to deploy their resources and actually save some structures.
The sensor's called Avarice 3. It's a hyperspectral camera. It can spot flames, heat, even gases around the clock. It generates detailed maps of hot spots and fire lines and quickly gets the info to crews. Michael Falkowski has a hand in NASA's wildfire program.
The data are collected by the sensor and it's uplinked to a Starlink satellite and then beamed down to fire crews within a matter of minutes.
The Eaton Fire in LA County gave crews a look at its potential.
That information was used by first responders to make decisions about hazards and how they might want to deploy people in terms of cleaning up immediately after the fire.
With Fox on Tech, Sarah Allegre, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, May 30th. Wellstar announced yesterday plans for a new hospital in Cobb County. The proposed 230-bed facility would be built in Ackworth on Cobb Parkway, across from Wellstar Ackworth Health Park. Wellstar's CEO said the new facility is needed to serve Cobb County's booming population. If you filed your taxes, you'll soon see some extra dollars in your accounts. The one-time state rebate approved by Governor Kemp of $250 for individuals and $500 for couples is expected to be distributed in early June. The tax deadline was extended this year due to Hurricane Helene. And a tornado was confirmed to have touched down yesterday in Henry County. It crossed I-75 during rush hour. No fatalities were reported. Today's weather. Isolated storms continue this afternoon, but we'll finally get a break with clear and sunny weekend on the way. Today's high will be in the upper 70s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. Tug and Los until 10, making plans for we're not
coming.
That's right.
Making plans. We're gonna do this.
We're not. The show's not even halfway over. We're already making plans for what to do after the show.
My in-laws are coming
Friday.
into town. We've got volleyball on Saturday and Sunday, starting at Lake Point. My youngest will play at 8 o'clock. 8 in the morning, by the way, 8 in the morning.
And that's an hour and change from your house.
So my wife is going over there with her and probably my in-laws. I will then be taking my older daughter. We're playing at Cobb Galleria. Now, it's a 3 o'clock start, but we've got to get their team to a lunch by 12:30. So that's going to be like our whole weekend. It's going to be Cobb Galleria, Lake Point,
relatable.
And we'll knock that thing out. And so that's why as soon as we started throwing around that, hey, why don't we grab a beer after work? I'm like, yeah, this is going to be the time. Because the
Yes,
rest of Saturday and Sunday, I'll be stuck in a gym.
We call it a good old day.
That's right.
And that's where we end up, is a little spot up and coming.
That's right. Warm it up, Cat. We're coming on your way.
I was at my neighborhood spot, Sidelines up in Woodstock yesterday.
Number one in Braves country.
That's right.
Yes.
And I was watching the afternoon ball game, and I almost sent y'all a picture. I was sitting there having specials on Tall Boys and Miller High Life.
There you go.
Having
There you
one
go.
of them and a nice little sandwich up there. And I almost sent y'all a picture of it, but I was like, we'll wait.
Man, I've done probably 5 or 6 radio shows there. Like a lot of times, as far as the circuit would go. For instance, if you would have Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, whoever the distributor was, and they would buy a package to do Saturdays and Sundays, NFL or college football. At least once a year, it was always Sidelines in Woodstock.
I've never
that's
been
just
there.
a cool
It's a great
bar.
spot.
It's a really cool spot.
I want to go there. Want to go to Six's Tavern. A friend of mine goes up there. Here it's great. And is that Cartersville?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. A guy I know that's an aspiring country artist up in Nashville. He's from Cartersville, so that's kind of his home spot. So anytime he comes home, he tries to play a little set there. I've always wanted to go up there. So there's so many places that I've just never.
The owner of Six's, dead ringer for Nikki Sixx.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Freaking Motley Crue. Do they play Motley Crue there a lot?
I'm pretty sure he's been in a cover band for Motley Crue for a long time.
If they don't, something's wrong. That's for sure. So what are you doing for your Friday? I mean, it's a little dreary, but it's Friday. Like, let your sun.
It's supposed
your
to be
inner
nice
sunshine.
as of tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna
tomorrow's
have some
supposed to be
storms
beautiful.
this afternoon,
Yep.
but then Saturday, Sunday, and most of next week looks great.
No, I love that. So we're gonna get that, and then we have a piece of audio. It's a bit of a long tease, but here in about 10 minutes, Olivia Juliana, the influencer that is going to win men back for the DNC. What she said at the DNC, we'll play that coming up.
Good luck.
Dude, what a disaster. I know we got this segment coming up, but I could just...
You want to start off by being just adversarial to men.
This is so stupid. And I know they're not stupid people. So I even... Gervais, maybe he's giving me them.
Oh, you have smart people with money realizing the problem, trying to figure out how to reach people in order to fix the problem, but you're hiring people to do this stuff, and they're not doing the foundational aspect, which is, when can we have a discussion? Instead, I'm just going to talk at you.
Well, but there's that. But when they do actually have the discussion, the things they talk about are not appealing to dudes whatsoever. No interest in the things that they're talking about.
If Jerry and I were to, and I actually am excited about this, when we sit down at the bar to solve the world's problems, okay? Now, a good conversation is Jerry has some ideas, I have some ideas, we sit there, we have some drinks, and we're like, man, that's a good idea, or, oh, that's whatever. It's different if one of us is talking at the other person.
That's right.
At that point, it's a shutdown. Jerry could be telling me, like, and this, and we should do this, and what do you mean you don't agree with me?
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to him going, God, I can't wait for this to be over.
Dude.
Vice versa.
That's what most of them do. They wait for somebody else to stop talking,
That's
and now
exactly
Now I'm going to tell you this, and that is not a conversation, especially when you're trying to share, especially when you're trying to garner support from people that are not supporting you right now.
What you're doing at that point, when you hear all this coming at you, you're like drinking your beer faster than you should.
Yes, can't
Just
wait to end this.
Get it over with, dear. Yeah, because you've all been, everybody's been at that lunch. Maybe it's a work lunch, whatever it is, and you're just like, oh my God, this is awful. This is the last thing on earth I want to be doing. And that's what a conversation with the Democrats is for men right now. It's like when your wife, and when you come home and your wife's like, honey, did you see, or I need to tell you about, and you're like, oh gosh, I've had a long day at work. The last thing I want to hear is about whatever this is.
I think all of us can relate to this, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a relative, whether it's with a coworker. I call it an audio headlock. All right? I'll tell my wife, she's like, oh, how was that conversation? I go, felt like a headlock. It's not that they're grabbing me around my head and being like, oh, we're going to do this with you. It's that you're in a conversation that you don't want to be in and you want to get out.
As soon as you can.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck. There's nowhere to go. And meanwhile, actually, I was telling this to Barrett Salee. Barrett Salee, Braves Radio Network. I said, the next time we get a rain delay, I was like, I didn't do it the first handful of times, but I'm going to call you. I'm going to call into the radio show, and I'm going to have a fake name, and I'm going to go, Hey, Barrett, I really enjoy the show. Listen, I wanted to ask you about if you happen to remember this Braves player. I mean, he's not on the team right now, but and I couldn't remember who his name was. But do you remember that Atlanta Brave that died of cancer? Okay, the headlock's been engaged.
Because how do you get out of that?
Think about you're hosting a show and someone does that to you because you can't say, no, I don't remember. You can't say, yeah, I totally remember. And you can't engage in the conversation because what are you going to dismiss me? Because I just asked about. That is a headlock. That is the moment where you want to be out of the situation. And oftentimes it's when somebody's talking at you. Now, that's a funny one.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where we've all been like, man, I don't want to be in this conversation.
Dude, with regularity, and it usually comes in a work meeting. That's what happens. Every work meeting's the same. You're just like, the worst, the one that puts you in the audio headlock is the guy that asks questions. Anybody questions?
Here it comes.
You don't want to be the dude that's raising your hand with a question. Shut up. Ask them after the meeting so everybody else can leave.
After the meeting.
That's right. But there's always the one.
Don't put me in the meeting audio headlock.
They're always the one. Well, wait a minute. You said, No.
Hey, Jeray, I love the show. Do you remember that person that had all his skin off by getting eaten off by the flesh-eating virus? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen.
I don't recall that. We'll look it up. We'll get somebody on that. We'll get the research.
Hey,
top men.
What is your favorite disease? Is it Ebola? I heard it was Ebola. I'll hang up and listen. Oh my God!
It's syphilis. Apparently, in Cobb County.
Oh, we'll find out next week.
That's right.
Next
we'll
week.
find out what the new
sign
is.
the new STD sign.
Gosh, AutoPen. There's so many signatures and we have no idea who actually signed them or if anybody. I mean, literally, I guess all you have to do is push the button and it signs it for you. So many signatures, so few details about why they were signed.
This is picking up so much steam. And I think we just want a handful of answers. First off, it's, all right, who all had access to this? Because we talked about whether it's, okay, is it a staffer?
Anita Dunn or the shadowy guy that ran Jill Biden's office,
Anthony Bernal.
Yes, there you go.
So was it him?
Chief of staff.
Who was it? Who was handling this? But then you get people that are talking about like, hey, was this Elizabeth Warren's position? As she's started to kind of back away from anything that might be AutoPen oriented. Next question is, did you really profiteer from this? Because that's something else that whistleblowers
are saying
exactly over right. to James Comer to James Comer. They're like, hey, they were charging people for pardons to make sure that they were in good shape. I was like, how is there truth to that? And so I feel like we're at this weird trifecta of different controversies that all warrant the discussion of, is this the biggest one since Watergate?
I think it's bigger, dude. It's not even close.
Because it's the first one, obviously, it's Biden's health. How much was that hidden? That's a controversy. On the way out is AutoPen. How many pardons? Who was actually, and then the other one is, who was actually in charge of this for 4 years?
And I wonder if they weren't paying the networks to talk about the topics that they wanted the networks to cover. And now Jake Tapper feels just fine. Now that he's not getting paid from that, I can tell it all.
I can tell you all about the influence they had.
Speculation, and it may not be Jake Tapper. That's just an example. But I would not doubt it for 1 minute that they sent one media outlet or all of them taxpayer dollars through USAID and some NGO to not talk about something or to talk about something.
Now, in the interest of being selfish, and listen, I grew up kind of as an only child. My younger brothers did not come along until I was basically 13, 14 years old when Dad was starting franchises of other families, okay? So I pretty much grew up as an only child. So I am really good at being selfish.
Family franchise.
So in the interest of my own radio program.
I hear you right through the wall laughing. Family franchise.
And thinking about you and me and Jeray and Simple Jack, you realize how many layers to this onion we're going to have over the next several months when we find out about who was responsible for what?
I think your short change is not months. I think it's going to be years.
It's probably going to be. We're going to have, and this will be 10, 15 years, 20 years down the road, where this is going to come up in some sort of class, some sort of discussion, and we will have so much information on it because we covered it in the way that we did. We'll be bringing up somebody down the line. Dad, did you ever hear of AutoPen?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, yes, I did.
I want to give some credit to David in Kennesaw. He just called up and said, here's how you drive liberals crazy now. Start calling it the AutoPen Harris administration.
There you go. Thank you, David. Yeah, the AutoPen Harris administration. Start calling it that. That's genius. I love that. But we're going to have to go down this road of asking these questions. And then how much are they going to be stonewalled? And then as we find out the real truth of who is all in charge of this, is there ever going to be that payoff outside of, like, I just wanted to know. I don't think we're going to be able to send anybody to prison. These people find a way out of everything.
Of course. Absolutely. And even if the auto pen was purchased, the pardons were purchased, is there anywhere in the Constitution that says you can undo a president's pardon? Because to my knowledge, the answer is no.
We know what legally has to be done in order to grant the pardon, but I mean, I don't know. I've never even considered looking into, has there ever been a presidential pardon?
Because we've never been in this situation before.
We're in uncharted waters. The cool part about the Founding Fathers and so much of what is going on in the development of this country is that they anticipated so many aspects of what could occur and built in so many fail-safes. Well, if we don't anticipate it, we've given the power over to the Supreme Court to rule on this. If we don't know about this, or if we don't anticipate it, Congress can change the laws in order to make this now fit what's going on. I mean, there's a system here for it. What happens when you don't anticipate, for the better part of almost 250 years, something like this, where the chief executive is a turnip?
Gosh, dude.
And he's handing out pardons, and they're charging for them.
To further the conversation about finding out, all these media members that had the opportunity to tell us and didn't, and now they're all of a sudden brave. Well, I didn't know. It's like the dumb or playing dumb, as you said earlier. Although they're really capitalists, when they can be, they're capitalists. Look at what they're doing. They're willing to spill the beans. They're willing to tell you everything that they know and didn't tell you at the time to make the almighty dollar. That's the great thing about capitalism, isn't it? It's amazing what people will do for the almighty dollar. I think it's the greatest form of government ever because of this exact thing. All you have to do is wave a couple dollars in front of these fools, especially if the people are out of jobs, and there's a lot of them. They'll spill the beans because truly they're capitalists.
Let's talk about how absolute this is. There has never been, because it's not possible, you cannot have a court, a ruling, or a subsequent president overturn a presidential pardon. It's ironclad.
Right. Yeah.
It's what it is. Mm-hmm. So considering that, and we've never had anyone, because I've been trying to look it up, has there ever been one that's been overturned? Well, no, ever. So if you're on the way out on the final day,
and you have already used the office to make a grip of money,
you're signing almost 3,000 of them to go with the now 8,000.
And you can put some money in your pocket.
And put your money in your pocket
as you're walking out the door.
You're looking around going, what are y'all going to do about it?
The answer is nothing.
What are y'all going to do about it?
Nothing.
It's the same thing I tell liberals when I'm like, listen, I'm a winner. What am I going to apologize for this? They're walking out going like, what are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Listen, we won the presidency, right? We cheated our way to it. We got all this power. You can't do nothing about it. And they're right.
The problem is, right, not even a problem. Joe Biden had no idea. Jill did. Hunter did. Kamala did. They all did. And it didn't matter because they all getting greased.
The legality of it is what's going to have to be examined. You're going to have to build a case, and this will go through the court system where if a president was completely unaware of pardons and that they were being, this is unprecedented, where they were being sold. Give me that money trail as well. That's where maybe we see something about overturning, because Adam Schiff shouldn't have a pardon. Anthony Fauci shouldn't have a pardon. The January 6th committee should not have a pardon.
Dude, I don't believe anything will ever happen.
It was basically, did you do dirt against the Donald Trump and the administration and the Republican Party and the country? All right, let's make sure you get a pardon so nothing can come your way.
I don't believe anything will happen, ever. I don't think anything will ever happen. The only thing that will be is that we'll finally have our questions answered, which maybe that'll be enough for you. That you're like, okay, this is what I thought, and now it's been proven to be true. Nothing will ever come of it. Nothing ever happens to those people in D.C., ever. Because they take care of each other. The Republicans will be defending the Democrats. They might not do it out loud, but quietly. There's nothing going to happen to those people. When we continue on Extra 106.3, Olivia Juliana. She just loves men, which is why the left has chosen her to speak to men. But who's listening to her? I mean, I'm a dude. I'm not listening to a word she's got to say. Next on Extra.
The Morning Extra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
Good morning. It's your friend Carlos Medina. Let's talk about Tom. The Honest Car Guy. All right, you're wondering what makes Tom so honest. Well, it's the structure by which Honest Car Guy goes about his business. First of all, go check him out, honestcarguy.com. honestcarguy.com, or you can give Tom a call, but you got to make a decision first. You got to decide what make and model you're interested in terms of a car. Once you've decided on that, give him a call, 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME1. Now the process starts. I can tell you, I've sat in on it. It's really cool. You learn a lot about what goes into car buying and to car selling. Here's what Tom's able to do. You give him that car that you're interested in, and he's going to go through his vast network. Tom, because he spent so long in the car dealership industry, he's got all the connections, he's got all the licenses, he gets access to cars that you would never have the ability to get to. And now the negotiation process starts. Not between you and Tom, it's between Tom and who has that vehicle. Tom is going to get that car for you and do it at a price that everybody can be happy with. And all those additional fees that get tacked on when that car goes to the dealership, you don't worry about it. It saves you thousands of dollars. I did the math on this stuff. When you look at the difference between if you work with Tom versus if you just walk into a dealership, the difference in what you're paying, you're going to drive that car for free for about 2 years. That's how much you're saving. Take a look at it. Go to honestcarguy.com. That's honestcarguy.com. Or again, give Tom a call, 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME1.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 30th. The Atlanta Braves split their doubleheader in Philadelphia as they dropped the afternoon affair 5-4 before taking the evening affair at 9-3. The final afternoon starter A.J. Smith-Shawver left the game early after reportedly hearing a pop in his pitching elbow. He's been sent back to Atlanta for medical evaluation. Tonight, the Braves open up a 3-game series at Truist Park with the visiting Boston Red Sox. It'll be Grant Holmes on the mound. He'll be making the start for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Lucas Giolito. First pitch is set for 17, and that will be an Apple TV Plus exclusive broadcast. So make sure you download our sister station's app, 680 The Fan, to get the play-by-play. And the Edmonton Oilers will face the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals after beating the Dallas Stars last night 6-3 the final in order to take that Western Conference Finals series in just 5 games. The Stanley Cup Finals will begin next Wednesday. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
This is House Call for Health. A study looks into the mental and physical health of American mothers, and the results are causing some concern. It found the mental health of moms with children 17 and under significantly dropped from 2016 to 2023. Researchers examining data from nearly 200,000 mothers who took part in the National Survey of Children's Health. They found mothers who reported having excellent mental health declined nearly 13%, while those who chose fair or poor rose 3% in that period. The study also found mothers who rated their physical health as excellent declined about 4%. Researchers suggest limited access to care, social isolation, and rising substance use disorders may be contributing to the decline. Dads also showed declines in physical health, but had better results than moms. The study was published in the JAMA Internal Medicine Tuesday. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Military Matters.
In an attempt to both cut spending and appeal to military families, the Defense Department is directing each military service to find ways to make service members relocate less for their jobs. This will create more stability for families while saving money for the Defense Department. Right now, the Pentagon spends $5 billion each year on moving military personnel and their families to different assignments. The Defense Department is now looking to cut this in half over the next 5 years. The Army, Navy, and Air Force secretaries have 120 days to get back to the Defense Department with recommendations for how to both cheapen these relocations and make less service members relocate. Some see this announcement as a win for service members who have complained about the lack of jobs for their spouses, childcare for their children, and reimbursements for moving expenses. But critics worry that service members who are single could be prioritized for promotions since it is cheaper for them to relocate. For Military Matters in the Pentagon, Liz Frieden, Fox News.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Pete, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
America had and has cancer. The cancer of big government. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, they are the chemotherapy that is going to kill this cancer.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Their savior is going to be Olivia Juliana. That's who the Democrats are relying on to talk to men like Los, like Jeray, like me. I'm not sure they've chosen the right person. I'm not sure they've wisely chosen the right person. I'm not sure that they've thought this through.
You mean the angry big lady?
The lesbian woman, yes.
Well, she checks off all the boxes.
I know she does, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to check boxes is the problem. As we listen, I see what you did there with that Queen song, Jeray. I know what you're doing. I'm
just don't even acknowledge. Listen, the man's working.
You know,
he's working like a hummingbird.
That's right.
You either got it or you didn't.
That's exactly right. Jeray's got a piece of audio of her back at the DNC before the election.
As the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Oh.
It's really difficult. She should avoid such jokes. Listen, I hate the fact that I have to get low down about this, but she is my political enemy, and I will just point out that if you're trying to reach a certain audience,
you're on the menu.
She is going to be perfect for some audiences. It's not like this is a dumb woman.
No, but not you and I.
But she's not for men anywhere from 18 to 45.
Problem is, that's who they're using her to go after.
Right. I don't know. It's similar to if I, let's say, for instance, I had screws that were stuck out of my deck, and I gave you a chainsaw to deal with it. Does that seem like a good idea?
No, it's terrible. It's like you didn't think it through at all.
I don't have the right tool for the job, right? It's a little bit of a problem.
And that's
why is my deck all sawed apart?
Yeah, we can get those screws out of there. The rest of it's going too.
Yeah, all of it's just fall over. You have to rebuild the entire deck. But
it's like Jeray's got a screwdriver. Maybe this might work better.
No.
And the DNC's like, no. Listen, is he lesbian?
Nope.
Is he large?
Mm-mm.
He has a screwdriver though. Yeah, I know, but still.
Is this the right tool for the job? No.
Nope.
Doesn't matter. That makes too much sense. We refuse it.
You want a young Jeray talking to other young potential Jerays?
No,
we can't have that.
That's exactly opposite of the direction we want to walk in.
So I do have a list here.
Oh.
I compiled a list
Here we go.
of who I would, if I was trying to reach young men, and I was trying to talk to them about, let's see, about changing maybe some of your political affiliation.
Can I give you a guess for
go for it?
Sydney Sweeney.
All right, that's like a very obvious one because she's going.
Yes.
The answer is always going to be yes. I tried to go a little bit more.
But the reason I bring this up
run-of-the-mill
is because she's selling soap made from her bathwater. That's going to get dudes' attention.
There's an audience.
There's somebody there who's going to be like, you know what?
There's an audience.
I'll listen.
Now, I want you to make mental notes here. And if you happen to find some of this audio during the break, I'm not going to fight with you. So, for instance, Liz Churchill. Don't find her audio, by the way. Liz Churchill
she's pretty impressive.
Is a Canadian who looks to basically, she's a good-looking lady, and she looks to basically talk about the BS that's going on in the medical field.
Wreck house.
And she will wreck you. Like, that's part of what she does. Now, she's not talking at you so much as she's like, hey, this is what they're doing to us. It's us. And here's the problem. So that's kind of part of what you're looking to do. I also include Fiona Cawley. Fiona Cawley is the redheaded comedian who is in a wheelchair. Now, she's hilarious.
Yes, so funny.
If you have seen any type of Kill Tony and she shows up on there, all right, this woman, because she suffers from a muscular issue, she is freaking hilarious. If you wanted to reach young people to just be like, here, I'm going to make you laugh, and then I'm going to give you like some of my thoughts on this stuff, and let's see if we can come to a consensus. That's the way you do it. All right? You give them something before you start sharing something. And I'm not talking about being politically preachy. I would just interwave into, hey, you know what I'm having a problem doing? I'm trying to find young men, because you young men have been de-emphasized by society.
For 15 years.
Yes, that's what I would do. I would include redheaded libertarian.
Love Josie.
Josie can talk to anybody about this stuff, telling you about the history of this country.
Stunning.
Yes.
Absolutely stunning.
Talking to you about the history of this country and why you have the rights that you do and how they've been challenged over the course of history. And as she likes to put it, treason is the reason for the season.
But do you realize that that Josie would never be a selection because she does not fall in line and check all the boxes.
Right.
And it's interesting that we're conservatives. And
I picked out a libertarian.
And you picked out a libertarian.
And I picked out a comedian who I don't have any idea what she believes in. Her politics. I know Liz Churchill's.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Very clear.
And the last one I do, and just because I've been enjoying her audio, is Brianna Banasinski, the Tampa realtor.
Yeah, that's the one you showed me, yes.
You want to talk about using TikTok and Instagram to reach out to some people? She does stand up as well as being a realtor. But I'm trying to pick people that are going to give you something without demanding something. They're going to make you laugh and get you involved in a discussion.
Dude, but what if they would have went with Batya Ungar-Sargon? She's a Democrat.
Yeah.
They could have gone with her. She makes sense. When she speaks, I'm like, that's a smart lady. I don't always agree with her. I see her on all the news networks and clips on social media. I don't always agree with her, but I appreciate the fact that I think she's thought it through.
But Josie's the only one where I picked somebody intentionally.
Because she's smoking?
Well, that too. But intentionally into our age bracket.
Oh, got it.
The rest of them are all in their 20s. The rest of them are all, for the most part, this is the stuff that they're involved in. If you're trying to reach men, there's a reason why they picked a 22-year-old influencer. They're like, we've got to start with a younger woman. No, not that one.
Do you remember, this is a great example of this is in The Big Short. I learned about how the bond market works from Margot Robbie in a bathtub.
So in The Big Short, if you never, again, Michael Lewis book, and it's on the basically economic collapse that we had with the housing market in 07 and 08 and what it caused. And The Big Short was how some people made some money on it because they saw it coming.
It's such a good movie.
But in order to explain it, and explain the complicated nature of derivatives and what was going on, they would break away to different celebrities that would tell you, okay, this is what this means. And one of them is Margot Robbie in a bathtub to grab your attention so that you can explain some of these different markets and why it's
fully
important.
Endorse.
Yes.
But that's the way of thinking, right?
It's never involved in the Michael Lewis book, but yes, it's that way. It's like, hey, I'm going to break this down for you, and it's us in it together.
Y'all think I was just joking about the whole Sydney Sweeney being brilliant. Dude, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
The idea, how ridiculous is it? They're going to use her bathwater to make soap? It sounds so stupid. And it is. But it's brilliant because it's her, and we are all going to give her our attention. And am I going to go out and buy that soap? Nope. But do I know about it? You're daggum right, I do. I know all about it already. Read about it.
I know what we're all getting for Christmas on this radio show.
Absolutely. This is
I bought you soap. What kind of soap?
Sydney Sweeney's bath water.
I'm going to go home and eat it.
That's right. Lowe's coming in the talking to bubbles coming in.
The most impressive thing to me, outside of the beauty's the one thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To find out she was on her robotics team in high school.
So hot.
I love that. I love the fact that is like the nerdiest fun team. Like, robotics team is so cool. And the hottest girl in school was on the robotics team.
It's so awesome. Dude, I think it's great, too.
Look at Jack. Jack's nodding like yeah. I mean, could you imagine if you wandered over to the robotics team and you're like...
you saw her?
And you're like, what?
Be like, I need to build a robot.
It's like, I need to study more math and science.
Seriously, that Elon Musk fella, I want to work like him. Don't you, Cindy? Yes, I do. Yeah, all of a sudden, there's sparking a conversation.
You feel like you found a unicorn? I can't believe there's one in this. She plays in the band, and she's so hot. There's one over here in the robotics team. Amazing.
That's exactly right, man.
Get a lot of young men into BattleBots real quick.
That's right.
Dude.
Dude, BattleBot's kind of cool.
Look what we just did. We spoke to every age group.
Yes.
That exist in dudes, and it took us 7 minutes. The Democrats are going to spend $20 million and speak to no one.
Give me $2 million. I will give you 40 minutes. Not a problem.
Give me $1 million.
No. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I'll do it for $9.99.
Exactly. Price is Right style. Backing it off. I love it. When we continue, James Comey made a huge error by leaving a box of stuff. That's the quote, box of stuff in his office when Kash Patel took over the FBI. What a knucklehead. Next on Extra.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
What is our largest federal agency? Why, that's the Department of Defense. And they gobble up half of the discretionary budget in the federal government. Now, here is something that will outrage you, and believe it or not, I got it from Senator Elizabeth Warren. In many Defense Department contracts for equipment materials, you will find restrictions that prevent our troops from fixing their own weapons and equipment. Under these contracts, if something breaks from a tank to a pencil sharpener, the Department of Defense has to call the contractor that provided that item and schedule a repair visit and pay a hefty fee. That is even if our troops in the field are perfectly capable of making that repair. Can't do it. Gotta call the contractor. Our service members in a combat situation could end up waiting for weeks to get an essential piece of equipment repaired. The Navy has to fly contractors out to sea to aircraft carriers to do maintenance that the people on that carrier absolutely are qualified to do. What are the reasons behind this? Well, unions are one of them, lobbyists are another, but Secretary of the Navy Dan Driscoll is now modernizing a plan. He says no lobbyist ever won a war. So now it seems a lot of these contractors are going to have to provide repair materials and manuals to the armed forces. And the estimates are that giving the military the right to repair their own equipment could save billions of dollars. Finally, Elizabeth Warren and some Democrats are doing something that I not only can approve of, but applaud. And so can you. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
A fond farewell. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Elon Musk will get at the White House today as his tenure ends leading the Department of Government Efficiency, though to Democrats it's good riddance after Musk's controversial work pushing for federal job and spending cuts.
The president says on Truth Social this will be Musk's last day, but not really, because he will always be with us, helping all the way. Doge estimates it has saved about $175 billion, amounting to about a little more than $1,000 per taxpayer. That is far less than Musk's initial target of $2 trillion.
As Fox's Madeline Rivera, the president also posted rants on Truth Social over a trade court ruling blocking many of his tariffs on imports, wondering if the judges were motivated by Trump hatred, calling their decision horrific and damaging to the United States. However, Fox's Jared Halpern reports from the White House.
A federal appeals court is allowing the Trump administration to continue collecting tariffs, putting a lower court ruling on hold that found President Trump exceeded his authority by imposing reciprocal and universal tariffs. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says cabinet officials are in touch with counterparts around the world
to let them know the United States will still be at the negotiating table.
Now to different negotiations trying to stop the war in Gaza. Here's Caroline Leavitt again.
I can confirm that Special Envoy Witkoff and the president submitted a ceasefire proposal to Hamas that Israel backed and supported.
Hamas is now reviewing that proposal to reportedly stop Israel's attack for 60 days in exchange for 10 more hostage releases. It's now 2 weeks for 2 escaped prisoners still on the run after breaking out of a New Orleans jail with 8 others who have been captured. In Arkansas, it's day 6 of the manhunt for Grant Hardin, a convicted rapist and killer who broke out of a prison Sunday.
Hardin wore a fake uniform, tricking a corrections officer into opening a secured gate. Well, wanted posters, they are up everywhere. People in the area on edge.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Gateway, Arkansas, where Hardin used to be the police chief. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go.
Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that their results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective,
I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Are 30-day sample packs available?
You can now access a 30-day sample pack at TryRexMD.com with generics if appropriate. Online approval at TryRexMD.com is simple, with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit tryrexmd.com to get your sample pack. That's TRYREXMD.com.
Finally, there is conservative talk in Atlanta, Georgia.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. If you missed the last segment, we were talking about the people that the Democrats could use to talk to men. They've chosen Olivia Giuliana, which is a bad choice. But they could have chosen so many. And I said to Los during the Fox News update, the crazy thing is the biggest influencer in the digital space, Joe Rogan, they had him on their team. He voted for Bernie Sanders. They basically said, we don't want you anymore. We're going to get rid of you.
Well, he unfortunately got done with COVID over a 2-day period. And the dude, as a pretty in-shape guy, probably wasn't going to have a tremendous problem with it. But as he jokes around about in his comedy special, Burn the Boats, he's like, had I died of COVID, I would have been, he was like, they would have been talking so much S about me. He's like, but he was one of the guys that he basically took the FLCCC's treatment plus some extra stuff that his doctor prescribed. And as he put it on CNN, in 48 hours, he was outside chilling, doing his normal thing. And they turned him into public enemy number one for using treatments that weren't the shot. And so they lost him in that because you essentially went after his free speech.
And the Democrats are now saying they need their own Joe Rogan. Think about the irony there. That they ran the man off, and now they're looking for someone who's like him to replace him when they had him the whole time.
A guy who grew up with hippie parents in California, who has spent time in Hollywood, who is doing shows, who's into comedy, who believes in free speech, who was doing a podcast, ends up being the biggest podcast in the world, and you decided to attack him on one thing, which was his own health, and you ran him off to the point where he helped win an election for Donald Trump by having him on his podcast. And the only reason Kamala Harris wasn't on his podcast is because he wouldn't agree to travel and she wouldn't do more than 40 minutes.
And had to have the questions in advance.
Yes. Which that's never part of that podcast. It's just where it goes. Like, tell me you've never heard a Joe Rogan podcast. There's like maybe a handful of things that he has kind of planned out. The rest of it's just a conversation.
They had Joe Rogan. Now they're looking for their own Joe Rogan. That's how lost in the forest they are. The other reason they're lost in the forest is because they're using Olivia Giuliana that doesn't speak to a man at all. No dude is listening to anything she has to say. She's done, and it's not, I'm sure she's nice enough. I'm sure she's fine as a person. I'm sure. I just have nothing in common with her. She doesn't speak to me. There's nothing she says that I go, oh, I'm with that.
Her thought process is to travel to frat houses. As in if like she's got to slum it. Like, I got to get into frat houses. That's not how it works either. In fact, you know what? Why don't you say, I'm going to make it a point to show up where other people, young people are, and talk to them about their concerns. Like Charlie Kirk will just sit there on campus, and it's like, just anybody who wants to come up, here's the microphone, let's talk about it. That makes more sense. If it was me, I'd be like, I'm going to set up something at Southern Tailgates. I just want to hang out at tailgates, and we're just going to talk about what's affecting young people in this country.
That's never their idea, though.
No.
Because when they get there, back to the point, they want to talk at people when they get there.
Yeah.
Dudes just hang out, and the conversation evolves naturally.
And they're looking at it as, what's the lowest of the low that we can involve ourselves in?
Yeah.
Frat houses. Do you realize how much I'd love to go to a fraternity house? I've never, outside of just like passing through, I've never spent any significant amount of time in a fraternity house.
Me either.
Never was my thing. I was playing college baseball. There's a couple of fraternities, like they do their thing. That's their thing.
Right on. Have fun.
And I was supportive of them. Like I'd go to their parties. We would go to each other's stuff. That's how it was. But I can never tell you, like, yeah, I spent like 5 hours at a frat house hanging out and talking about what I would enjoy it. I'd enjoy it now. You've got some friends of yours, whether they're at Georgia Tech or Georgia or anywhere else in the area. If we can go do the show from a frat house, do the morning show, I'd eat it up. I'd love it. I'd be like, let's go. Let's go do a show from a frat house on a Friday in football season.
100%. And these days, that frat house would kick the door open because they're all dudes. They listen to shows just like this all the time. Simple Jack goes to Sanford. He's in the back of the room shaking his hand because he knows it's true. This is what dudes do. And dudes have become so much more conservative because of the decisions of the Democrat Party to say, you're bad. Your natural instinct to protect, to even open doors for ladies, that's bad.
And what I would do, my first question to nearly anyone who we'd sit down and be like, here, let's talk to Simple Jack's cousin. Let's talk to Simple Dave. Whoever we're interviewing, the first thing I'm going to do is say, what do you want? Like, what, you're getting this education. You've committed yourself to this. What is it that you want in your life for like the next 10 years? What do you want?
You've already made a mistake. Because they're never asking that question, because it's not about what you want. It's what we want you to do. It's what we want from you.
It's like, how do I help facilitate an environment to help you get what you want, that facilitates what you're already doing? How do I, as somebody who has, small footprint, we've done some stuff with this radio show. We have access to important people. We're able to talk about what young people that are helping drive victories for the non-communists, the anti-communists, are helping drive victories. My question would be, what is it you want? Now, I would imagine a lot of it's just going to be, I want a solid job, I want affordable housing, I want to, hopefully down the road, raise a family. All right, we have to create the economic conditions for young people in order to do that. You're going to have these influencers on the other side. They're going to be busy telling you about what good they're doing for you right now.
Instead of
this is what we're doing for you. This is what we're doing. The other side's not doing it. I'm going to sit back and tell you, I want to know what you want, because I need to create that scenario. It needs to be me doing it.
Los brought up an influencer. I guess she's become an influencer. The realtor in Tampa.
Yeah, Brianna
Banasinski. Who Jeray's got a little cut, because I wanted people to be introduced to her.
She doesn't get talked about that often, except in media areas. This is going to blow up here in the next several months.
Her life is about to change, and she's kind of girl next door, regular looking lady.
There's nothing about her that you go like, oh, she's got, look at her breasts or anything. It's like, no, she's just kind of like the nice, friendly kid. Who's funny and who's trying to sell you houses.
Girl next door.
Yeah.
Which I would take girl next door all the time. Love girl next door. I want you to hear from her, because Los brought her up. So you have just a taste of what she does.
This carport is tall enough to fit your jacked up F-150, but not tall enough to fill the void of when your father left. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, $660,000. Shut the up. What do you want me to do? It's 2 minutes from Bayshore Boulevard. You're the one who overextended yourself on an F-150 payment. $950 a month? Imagine coming home to this after a long day of overcompensating. This is the perfect spot for your I don't haul anything, but I could apron. Does it get exhausting taking up 2 parking spots everywhere you go? This shower's big enough for you to cry in once you realize all your friends keep you around just in case they need to move. Hey, did your truck come with a Gatorade bottle full of tobacco spit, or did you have to buy that separately? This house is only 3 minutes away from a mechanic, and the signal's great here. I already got you 3 new matches on Grindr.
Pick it on pickup trucks.
Take it on the pickup truck driver.
I'm a pickup man.
And it's funny.
But that's the beauty. That's what dudes do. They go after each other. They give each other crap.
At Tampa_Bree on Instagram.
It's funny. They are hilarious to watch.
You just showed me the one of her talking about golf.
She does Donald Trump. And so, because it was a house and a golf course community. And she does a little bit of Donald Trump, and then she starts talking about how golf's not a sport. And because the feedback she got was so going after her, she went out to similar like a Top Golf, but it's their version. It's a golf trainer facility. And she was so bad, but she's making fun of herself, of just showing you how bad she is and just making jokes the entire time. Like, that's the sort of, we talk about like these influencers. Influencers are people that are giving you content that just makes your day a little bit more fun.
Just
a little bit better, that's all.
Just a laugh, that's all.
Their plan is to, how am I going to scold you with the invisible hand of communism? If you don't do this, Jack, you're never going to have a future. I'm 270 pounds. I'll drop 65, and then I'll go walk into your fraternity house and watch me dance. I'm going to dance.
It's just so forced. There's nothing organic about it. It's just all dudes want to do is have a conversation. They want to go to work hard, have a conversation with their buds, maybe over some cold drinks, like this show will do after the show is done today.
That's right, America.
That's right. That's the plan.
Get ready.
We're going. You know what we're going to go and do? We're going to go be dudes. That's what dudes do. You think Olivia Giuliana knows anything about what we're going to do after the show? Has no idea. Do you think she would step foot?
No.
Into good old days in Cumming, Georgia?
No.
You know who will?
Us.
Bunch of dudes. That's why she can't speak to dudes.
Sidelines in Woodstock. You think of whatever neighborhood bar, and she's going to roll in there and start having a conversation. I told you what happened to me when I had the one discussion when I brought up Kamala Harris.
You got punched in the arm.
Got punched in the arm by some crazy leftist woman. I just asked her, hey, what is your number one policy that she's talked about that makes you the most interested in voting for her? And she couldn't do anything.
Well, of course because there wasn't one.
And then when she's starting to spin there, then it just turned into, I'm mad. It's like, okay.
What? You telling me they get emotional? What? No.
I would ask Juliana, what is your number one suggestion coming from your party as far as policy that's going to help young people moving forward?
Stop Donald Trump because he's destroying America. That's the first thing. That's not a policy, of course.
Okay,
but
Jabba.
But that's what's going to... That's exactly what she's going to say to you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she's going to say. Pete Buttigieg, when he was out there being on the podcast talking about how he's going to talk to dudes, and he brought up gay marriage and abortion and some whatever else, birth control.
Okay, so here's the issue he's running into. So when you interview, when you end up polling Gen Z, gay marriage is something that is fine with them. Okay, like, and that's fine. It's fine with me. I'm one of the people that were like, hey, no big deal. Doesn't bother me one bit. You should have the same ability to walk into a hospital room because your husband or your wife is sick. You should be able to do that. You get the same tax breaks. I don't have a problem there. I didn't prefer you call it marriage, but I also didn't think there was any problem with some sort of union that allows you to get the same access that any other American does. That's the way I feel about it. Largely, that's the way Gen Z feels about it. But it's not enough to motivate them. That's the part they're missing. Hey, if they do away with gay marriage, you know what Gen Z says about that, especially the young men? Well, it's up to you.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother them because you know what they're busy doing? Trying to slay.
That's right.
All right.
Trying to meet every girl.
Trying to meet every girl they can, and then get a job and start a family and go play a lot of golf and go make $1 million. Well,
that's what motivates them.
That's what motivates them.
America. They want to entertain themselves on a Saturday watching college football.
Like if I told, and I'll tell you this. Okay. Thumbs up, Simple Jack, that, and these are two scenarios. Which one's more important to you? Thumbs up means scenario one is more important to you. You can put yourself in a position where you find yourself on weekends when you're comfortable, you're out of school, and you're on a boat with a handful of girls, and they're all good looking, and you're trying to figure out which one you're going to hook up with. Thumbs down is you're more concerned with gay marriage being taken away.
He's taken.
Oh, wait. So you're more concerned with gay marriage being taken away than being on a boat with a bunch of hot girls during the summer?
I don't think.
Yeah. Now he's waving me off.
He was like,
exactly.
No. He was like, I was confused at the rules.
You were onto something with that nickname. I thought you were picking on him hard.
But that's the game. It's what their goals are supersedes all of this stuff. Now, is gay marriage a factor for them? Yes, they would like to see it maintained, but it's not a motivating factor. And that's what Pete Buttigieg is missing out on.
And the other thing, though, Los, you're seeing young men specifically, they've taken a hard right.
Yes.
Dude, going to church, deleting social media, the things that used to matter don't anymore. I see it in my own son's friend group. The things that used to be the sexy thing, getting out and just getting rip-roaring drunk, doesn't even, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's not as prevalent as it once was. Some things are changing in a direction where they're actually moving further away from Olivia Giuliana.
And it's not just the men. That's what I've seen in my own house, and this is surprising, okay? We are not regular churchgoers. We're the Christmas, Easter, we're that group, okay? We're the ones that's like, hey, haven't seen you since last Christmas. I know, it's Easter. Good seeing y'all.
Y'all come back now, yeah.
Hey, y'all dress up nice. Yes, twice a year. That's who we are. Honestly, that's who we are.
That's who a lot. It's about 50, 60% of America.
That's fine, and I'm not apologizing. I'm just explaining. I'm not apologizing for it. I'm not saying I wish we were better. No,
dude, we're at church every Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I'm going to miss some kickoffs. I don't want to do that. I'm that person, okay? I've told you, I'm not the best person out there. But my daughter my 14-year-old has gotten much more involved in like Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She's much more into looking into faith and to studying and
it's happening all over.
And it's happening more with these younger people that a move to where more traditional ways of living, they're gravitating towards it.
You know why? Because the left has spent the last 50 years demonizing that women should be ashamed of wanting to have a family. They should be out there making sure that they're running the company as CEO. And if you don't want to do that, then you're bad. You're not living up to your full potential as a woman, which I completely disagree with. The most important thing a woman can do is be a mother. What more is there? There's nothing more glorious than that.
See, I think some of these young people, and I'd say this happened in my home, they got a taste of the darkness.
During COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So when I say what they were exposed to, for instance, young men, obviously, they've been left behind for the better part of 15 years, and you're told that if you hold doors open for women, or you want to have a family, or you want to have you want to be a provider, and your wife stays at home because she's a housewife and she's doing the job of raising the family, somehow that's misogynistic and bad, and you're evil. So stupid. All right, now when it comes to young women, they were all told the same thing when it came to social media. It was this: so you gay or what? To the point where you had these young people that if they were just straight people in high school, they were told there was something wrong with them. There's something weird about you. Are you cis? Are you bi? Are you this? Like, you had to have some sort of label. And the kids that started really to see through this, they turned on it. They turned and made a hard right on it. They then moved towards, no, I'm a person of faith. Here's what I believe in. Here's what hard work, the meritocracy, all of that stuff. So meanwhile, when YouTube is pushing out to you, here, click this link, see if you're gay, they completely went the opposite direction. This was a wild overreach during COVID and the subsequent years that has created an entire Gen Z that, yeah, those social aspects matter to them, but they are moving much more in our direction.
Funny, I just read a thread on X. You can find me at Tug Coward, at Front Office Los, and at Whiskey Click for Dre, at Extra 1063. And it was a woman, looked to be maybe mid-20s. And she said, social media had convinced me of those things that you're just talking about.
They got hammered with it during that time period.
And I was toying with the idea of transitioning, getting medical, having my breast removed, all of it. She was like, and then one day I realized I wasn't any of those things. She deleted her social media. She started doing more traditional things. And now at 25, she's like, I can't believe where I was, but I want you to know I was led down that path. There were people that were telling me every day, because you feel a certain way, you're not who you think you are. I was fascinated by the conversation, and it lines up with exactly what you're saying.
What occurred was that when young people, and they all do it, whenever they begin to question themselves, you had, whether it's the pedophilia groups, whether it's the transgender groups, whether it's just the weird groups that are out there, they attacked that opportunity. And they turned it into, like, we can't breed, so let's recruit. And that's what they did. And now you have a big pushback within young people, like,
done
like,
with
you
this.
almost got me.
Yeah, I'm done with this. I have no...
Like, they look at it as largely evil. And you know what they look at it? And now this is going to get in the traditional end. They look at it as the devil.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not sure they're not wrong.
I know my daughter does.
Yeah.
And I didn't push any of this stuff. Again, church twice a year, maybe only once. Twice tops.
This lady I'm talking about, her name is Forrest Van Slyke, at Forrest Van Slyke. She just posted this 15 hours ago. Gender dysphoria never goes away, they say. The only treatment is to transition, but mine did. Instead of taking testosterone prescriptions, I left social media, went to the gym, went hiking, spent time with people, listened to non-woke voices. Guess what went away? My gender dysphoria. Just like Los is saying, they're searching for kids to hopefully lure them down that path. That's what's happening. You can't deny it. And this woman is a perfect example of it. How Donald Trump plans to lower your prescription costs. J.D. Hayworth joins us next on the Morning Extra on Extra 1063.
Get connected to Extra 1063 on all your favorite apps. Then download ours and stream the station across Georgia. We're live online at extra1063.com. Stream live video from the studios on YouTube. And of course, Kimmer, Bortz, and your favorite Extra shows in crystal clear digital on the Extra 1063 app.
Hey, this is Tom from The Honest Car Guy. We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly. We guarantee each vehicle we sell will come with a copy of the bill of sale showing what we paid for it. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed. Honesty is the best policy, and we guarantee it. Finally, a pre-owned car and truck buying process that you can trust.
Get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1 or visit honestcarguy.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It's May 30th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Creativity Day. Founded in 2018, the day is meant to encourage everyone to celebrate the creative spirit and let their imaginations run wild. So whether your outlet is painting, music, filmmaking, even knitting, show the world your hidden talent. Also on this date in 1896, the first auto accident took place in New York City. Driver Henry Wells was taking part in a horseless wagon race when he lost control of his vehicle and crashed into cyclist Evelyn Thomas. Wells was arrested for the accident while Thomas suffered a broken leg. And in 2020,
ignition, liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon, go NASA, go SpaceX.
the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched from Cape Canaveral, carrying the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station, marking the first time a private company launched astronauts into space. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Fox in the fast lane.
Ross Chastain had 2 top 5 finishes, but 0 victories on the season heading into the Coca-Cola 600. He finally got over the hump at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
How about it? From the back to the front, Ross Chastain wins the Coca-Cola 600.
That was courtesy of Prime Video. Chastain started from the rear of the field, but led the final 6 laps after overtaking William Byron. It was Chastain's first win at Charlotte and the 6th victory of his Cup Series career. Byron, Chase Briscoe, A.J. Allmendinger, and Brad Keselowski rounded out the top 5. The Cup Series now makes a trip to Music City for the Cracker Barrel 400 at Nashville Super Speedway. Joey Logano won at the track last year, a race that required 5 overtime restarts. Logano already has a win under his belt this season, taking home the victory at Texas Motor Speedway on the first weekend of May. The Cracker Barrel 400 gets underway at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. For Fox in the Fast Lane, I'm Joe Morgan, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, May 30th. Wellstar announced yesterday plans for a new hospital in Cobb County. The proposed 230-bed facility would be built in Ackworth on Cobb Parkway, across from Wellstar Ackworth Health Park. Wellstar's CEO said the new facility is needed to serve Cobb County's booming population. If you filed your taxes, you'll soon see some extra dollars in your accounts. The one-time state rebate approved by Governor Kemp of $250 for individuals and $500 for couples is expected to be distributed in early June. The tax deadline was extended this year due to Hurricane Helene. And a tornado was confirmed to have touched down yesterday in Henry County. It crossed I-75 during rush hour. No fatalities were reported. Today's weather. Isolated storms continue this afternoon, but we'll finally get a break with clear and sunny weekend on the way. Today's high will be in the upper 70s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is the website. J.D. Hayworth joins us here on Extra 106.3 to talk about how Donald Trump is going to help your prescription drugs be lower. But I think everybody is on board for this. I just wonder if everybody believes it can happen. Welcome to the show, sir. Thank you for being here.
Man, it's like old home week.
I know.
Coming back to the Southeast and being here on the Morning Extra with Tug and Los, and you guys are educating me today. I know, for example, I cannot sell soap made of my bath water.
No, sir. No.
And what was that last hour? You going put me in the version of an audio headline.
The audio headline, JD, yes.
I can see it coming, and no, just for the record, I do not favor fatherhood on the franchise plan.
That's right.
Or
Los.
It's going to be you versus Dad Medina. Okay, I get it.
I don't want to have a throwdown in La Casa Medina, Los.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir, brother, but I thought that was an interesting way to put it. Man, and I hear you're the statistical guy, but you got away with words too.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
This business.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, fellas, simply stated, The one thing that, well, Donald Trump, he's been called the disruptor in chief, but a lot of this really ain't disruption, it's common sense. For example, when I was back there on the Ways and Means Committee, and we'd have that vote, we ought to have most favored nation status with China, I'd go, wrong, because they're going to rob us blind and steal our manufacturing. So I voted against that stuff. But all folks really need to know, when the president rolled out his plan with his executive order, hey, here's an idea. Let's make the U.S. of A the most favored nation. So all the other countries, our cousins up in Canada or across the Atlantic in those developed Western European quote-unquote democracies, they're paying less for prescription drugs. We'll just make sure that we even the playing field. And the reason why? Well, it's hitting every family, hitting everybody square in the pocketbook. When you take a look at, on average, this kind of downplays it, on average, Americans pay 3 times as much for prescription drugs as those folks in Canada or across the drink or down under, for crying out loud.
So what do you see as the correct step to getting this done? I mean, Donald Trump's using tariffs, obviously, to try to reindustrialize the United States, try to level the playing field. But when it comes to prescription drugs, how is that going to work? Because China, like you said, they've locked it down. They've taken everything. I mean, they steal everything that we have and everything that we do, and then they, use our buying power, our economy, to bolster their own country and to bolster the CCP. How do we wrestle that away? How do we get that back home? How do we get that the making of prescription drugs back to the United States? Because I don't trust those people to make quality prescription drugs to begin with. It scares me to think that they have that kind of control.
Well, that is an important step, and it's part and parcel of what you just outlined. But the real thing is that executive order the president issued last month, I guess it is now, or close to that, and it reaffirmed it 8 days ago in that Make America Healthy Again initiative with Secretary Kennedy. That goes a long way because an executive order can't do everything. Now, remember, we go back to civics. The president proposes, the Congress disposes. But what it does is it gives a guideline for Congress to come along and codify, put into law many of the things being suggested. And there are executive actions that can be taken. For example, same time last week or 8 days ago, we had the rollout of the MAHA agenda. The fact is that the Federal Trade Commission started looking at big pharma, and we call it that. It may be an understatement, but guess what? Big pharma is huge. It sets its prices. It does what it wants. When the calendar changed over from 2024 to 2025, there were over 800 prescriptions where the prices just went up. Didn't make any difference about the inflation rate. In fact, often the increases outpace the inflation rate. And then you hear talk about generic drugs. Well, the fact is, Big Pharma ties up easing patent restrictions and bringing generics to market more quickly with a curious set of legal tactics. So the Federal Trade Commission said, hey, we're going to take steps to stop that. So President Trump is leading and he's given the Congress a great blueprint. But the fact is the problems come from Big Pharma. And they're going to try to refocus the argument, of course, but that's where the scrutiny and the change has to start, gentlemen, right there. With the way in which Big Pharma has gone in to Washington, D.C., and as Secretary Kennedy pointed out the other day, he said there's a Big Pharma lobbyist. They could have them for an individual lobbyist for the 435 members of the House, the 100 members of the U.S. Senate, and every justice on the United States Supreme Court, all 9 of them. When you got that, when you got the money they've spent, and that was part of the Make America Healthy Again report, that billions with a B have been spent by Big Pharma over the last 20 years, and certainly they poured it on, according to a Wall Street Journal report, 31 million last year, another 13 million in the first quarter of 2025. And the American people want something entirely different from all of that, guys. You know, we talk so much about the polarization, and you offered a great riff before the break on how the Democrat Party wants to talk to men. Well, guess what? There is one issue where everybody agrees. This was a poll taken in that polarizing election year of 2024 by the Kaiser Family Foundation. It found 89% of Republicans, 84% of Democrats, and 78%, heck, almost 80% of independents say Big Pharma is focused more on profits than on helping people. And you got that kind of unity, if you will, unanimity. Well, small wonder then that President Trump says, as one of the British prime ministers did so long ago, I must follow the people. After all, am I not their leader? And the American people get it, and this executive order gets it, because we are taking it big time in the pocketbook right now.
Former U.S. Congressman J.D. Hayworth is our guest. You can always also look into the Pharmaceutical Reform Alliance, looking to really attack a lot of these prices that are coming from Big Pharma. And I'll tell you, J.D., I think a lot of this is messaging, because there's a lot of young people that have taken advantage of the GLP-1 medications. They're spending $1,000 to $1,200 a month on this. And when they find out that across Europe, a month's supply can run anywhere from $80 to $100, yet they're spending $1,000 on it. It's one thing when we talk about medications that our elderly are on, that our grandparents are on, people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. When we talk about other these medications that seem to be really reaching even into younger people, I think that's when it starts to hit them about how we're subsidizing healthcare around the world.
And when you take a look at that, it hits them in the pocketbook. But here's the other thing we have to understand. You're going to hear a lot of talk about research and development. Let me tell you, look, let me make it clear. Anybody who takes a capitalist like Donald Trump and thinks he opposes profits, no. But as he pointed out, there's a difference between profits and profiteering. You pointed out the price gap on what he called, and he called it what? The fat shot.
The fat shot, yes, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody calls it.
See, this is the genius of Trump, because you got to understand, we came along and we were told, and the gentleman from Georgia at the time, Newt, was the speaker, and we took the majority back when I was a much younger man, first one in my lifetime. But we sit down and look at the language. Trump doesn't do that. He speaks from the heart and the gut, and speaking of the gut, there's a fat shot. Anyway, the deal is, man, you take a look at what's going on with the dough. And again, I'm not opposed to advertising. Heck, I'm a broadcaster. But free speech ain't free when you and I are paying for it. Understand the profits that Big Pharma has hauled in. You and I on the other end, we're paying our hard-earned tax dollars in for, guess what? Research and development done by the federal government that redounds to the benefit of Big Pharma. Big Pharma has only spent about 17% of what it makes on research and development. Guys, on advertising and marketing directly to folks, $36 billion with a B. Look, free speech ain't free when you and I are paying for it by giving them a break with our tax dollars going to the research and development. Big Pharma claims it's most important thing. No, it's marketing, and we just need to pull back the curtain the way the president speaks candidly, and I think that's what we're in the process of doing. at the Pharmaceutical Reform Alliance. And folks listening to us can find out more by going to pharmareformalliance.com. That's the website, pharmareformalliance.com.
And I want to reiterate that because I think it's very important, because the argument from Big Pharma is always, if we have a reduction in the amount of money we're making, we will not be able to bring new drugs to market that'll help elongate your life. And the answer is always, we're already paying for that through research and development.
Through universities.
We are already doing that with our tax dollars. You're getting to pocket this. Let me ask you this, JD, as JD Hayworth is our guest, former U.S. Congressman. When it does come, I think we do run into, when we talk about taking Big Pharma and reducing maybe their footprint in advertising, I think at that point we're in for a big free speech debate and a big free speech fight. We've already seen that happen with Big Tobacco. I'm kind of curious, because tobacco could be vilified in the way that it was. Is there any way that you see that happening with Big Pharma?
Well, here's what I think can happen. And again, the remarkable thing. You know, I know people look at Washington and they see two very different parties and philosophies, but understand this thing is so big, and the poll numbers I cited earlier, when you got over 80% of the American people saying, hey, we got to do something, Congress is going to do something. Now, understand, on the Ways and Means Committee, it's not that you're going to sacrifice free speech, but the tax breaks commonly given for advertising, rather than, quote, silencing things, you just say, now, wait a minute. Don't know that we can extend the tax breaks given all the other breaks Big Pharma's gotten in terms of tax dollars for research and stuff. So there is a bipartisan bill. A physician from North Carolina, if memory serves, I believe it's Greg Murphy, a Republican from the eastern part of North Carolina, has introduced a legislation. He sits on the Ways and Means Committee that handles the tax code. It's bipartisan, and it says, wait a minute, you can't reap the tax benefits. And that's another way to deal with the advertising rather than a straight full-on First Amendment battle.
And I think the beauty in that is that you're laying it out so people understand this is not an attack on capitalism. We love capitalism. We're just trying to rein in this blob that has become Big Pharma that uses your money against you to make more money.
Well, you know, I know Los is the numbers guy. And so that's why I've let some stuff go here. Understand, Big Pharma's profits are twice the profit margin of the companies in the S&P 500.
Goodness.
And when I've told you how they're spending the dough.
Yeah.
Come in marketing rather than in research. And again, we're paying for it with the prescription drug purchases we make in addition to our tax dollars. So it begins and ends with Big Pharma. That's where the change has to come.
And this is supposed to be a soft target. You point out the numbers, independents, Democrats, Republicans, to find something that's 80% across the board.
Nearly impossible to find that.
Yeah, we called it in the business low-hanging fruit. Or as Ronald Reagan,
that's a technical term.
Said, he said, when you come to an 80% issue, go up and put your arm around it.
That's the wisdom of Reagan. I love
it. Yeah, absolutely, guys. So we'll take the best of Reagan and apply it to the here and now with Trump. And how about this? We don't look at this issue as Republicans or Democrats or independents or libertarians or as vegetarians. We're looking at this one as Americans.
I like it.
And that's a welcome step, long overdue.
Former Congressman J.D. Hayworth joining us on the Morning Extra. Thank you so much for your time. I hope it won't be the last time. It's been too long since we've spoken. It's been a couple years, so it's great to have you back on.
Well, you know, out here in the Arizona desert, I got to wander in the wilderness, but it's always good to make it back to the Atlanta area with you boys via Radio Magic. So I do look forward to catching up again, and on the internet, pharmareformalliance.com.
Bam.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, JD.
JD Hayworth.
Thank you, fellas.
Have a great day. Gosh, he's got
such an energetic guy to start with.
Well, that, and he knows what he's talking about. He's been there.
He's got the history aspect.
Of course, man. I remember 20 plus years ago watching JD on the news at night when he was a representative, and I always was like, man, that guy's got it. He knows exactly what he's talking about. And he always spoke to me Unlike the Democrat Party, who don't know how to speak to
again,
me.
as a broadcaster with Newsmax.
Yeah.
Again, typically you're on 50-50 issues. This one's an 80, like 85%. Everyone knows, especially when you have anyone who's older, when you start seeing some of the dollars that you have older people having to shell out for their medications, like, you got to get this under control.
Dude, I love it. I've never heard that quote about Reagan. When you have an 80% issue, put your arm around it.
Go put your arm around it.
That's brilliant. I
love that. That's funny.
Ronald
Reagan steal that.
Yes, sir.
He's going to be walking around talking about audio headlocks and family franchises. I'm going to be like, I'm stealing that Reagan from you.
I mean, I don't know what time he got up because he's, Arizona 2 hours behind us?
2 or 3, yeah.
Dude, I mean, he's pulling stuff from the 7 o'clock, early in the 7 o'clock hour. Appreciate JD. It's always a pleasure to have him on. Hopefully we'll get him back on real soon. You can thank Elon Musk that you know what you know because he changed the game. Next on Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 30th. The Atlanta Braves split their doubleheader in Philadelphia as they dropped the afternoon affair 5-4 before taking the evening affair at 9-3. The final afternoon starter A.J. Smith-Shawver left the game early after reportedly hearing a pop in his pitching elbow. He's been sent back to Atlanta for medical evaluation. Tonight, the Braves open up a 3-game series at Truist Park with the visiting Boston Red Sox. It'll be Grant Holmes on the mound. He'll be making the start for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Lucas Giolito. First pitch is set for 17. And that will be an Apple TV Plus exclusive broadcast. So make sure you download our sister station's app, 680 The Fan, to get the play-by-play. And the Edmonton Oilers will face the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals after beating the Dallas Stars last night 6-3 the final in order to take that Western Conference Finals series in just 5 games. The Stanley Cup Finals will begin next Wednesday. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Special Olympics Georgia is teaming up with Dunkin' Donuts for Cops on Donut Shops on June 6th from 6 to 10 a.m. Join us for the torch run and then some treats with our heroes on the streets. Together, we'll help raise money and awareness for Special Olympics Georgia athletes. Drive through and donate at participating Dunkin' Donuts June 6th or at specialolympicsga.org.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Expect the Senate to make changes to the big, beautiful bill. Some conservatives demand deeper spending cuts. Others are focused on possible reductions to Medicare and Medicaid. House Speaker Mike Johnson hopes the bill stays as is, but changes are nearly inevitable. The trick is crafting a bill which can make it through the Senate, but also stand up in the House. Some House Republicans voted in favor of the House version, but they did not like the carve-out for SALT. That's a deduction for state and local taxes. There's concern about deficits created by the tax breaks. GOP Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson will demand deeper spending cuts. He's one of 3 Republican senators to watch right now. Rand Paul of Kentucky opposes a debt ceiling hike. Josh Hawley of Missouri warned against Medicaid cuts. And then there's Johnson, who wants way more spending cuts. Senate Majority Leader John Thune wants the bill passed by the next big holiday. That's July 4th. But it's a crash to wrap it up on such a tight timetable. Plus, it may eventually be hard for the Senate and House to ever approve the same bill. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Fox on Tech.
Which iOS is that on your iPhone? If you've kept up with updates, you have some version of iOS 18. Apple is known for debuting its version updates in the fall, and this fall would mean you'd get iOS 19, right? Well, not according to Bloomberg, which says Apple is reworking how it names its operating systems and will now notate them for the year, meaning your next big iOS version will be iOS 26 for 2026. Think of it like model years for cars, where the model year begins at the end of the previous year. Ditto for iPad OS, Watch OS, TV OS, Mac OS, even Vision OS for the Apple Vision Pro. The reasoning behind the name changes for Apple to make things more uniform. Currently, there are wildly different version numbers for the differing software. The big announcement officially will come at the company's Worldwide Developers Conference, planned for June 9th. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
There's so many millionaires that we've got to move on to billionaires being evil. Why does a billionaire need a second home? Yeah. Why did the sawmill workers need a job cutting the lumber? Why do the sheetrock hangers need that money? Why do the people that manufacture the furniture and the appliances and the carpeting, why do they all need those jobs? Why do the florists that provide the flowers for an expensive wedding, why do they have to have a job? Why do they all need to make money just because somebody wants to throw an expensive birthday party? Don't we all know that these filthy billionaires should be giving that money away to help the poor and the less fortunate?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
I feel like you may have heard it here first. The praise of Elon Musk. I've never been an EV guy. I think the green energy revolution is a marketing scheme at best. Do I think it can serve a purpose? Sure. But do I think it's going to save the earth? No, I don't. Do I think it's going to change anything? No, I don't. You're still drilling and mining into the earth to pull out rare earth minerals, to build batteries, and do all the things that they need to make EV, to make solar panels, to make green, so-called, we'll call it dirty green energy. So-called green energy.
Dirty green.
Just dirty green. So I never was on the Elon train like, oh my gosh, Elon's the greatest in the world because he created Tesla. Was I impressed by Tesla? Yes. Was I impressed by SpaceX? Yes. But we told you that him buying Twitter was the single most important thing that's happened to the United States of America and the world in the past 50 years, if not more.
Might have saved free speech entirely. And that's not an overstatement considering where we were. We were on the brink. We had a Biden administration that when they found themselves into power by use of drop boxes and all sorts of games in the middle of the night, if you questioned it, well, you got shut down. You had a compliant social media that made sure you couldn't do it. When you started to have issues with your COVID vaccine and you tried to find community, other people that were having it, you had a compliant social media that shut you down. If you managed to question anything, you would draw strikes or you would be deplatformed or be defunded. This is the attack on free speech. And let's face it, free speech was no longer about what you were saying in a newspaper or on a phone. It was about what you were posting. That was free speech. And so by the time Elon Musk comes around, threw the doors back open into free speech. And his entire point was, I don't care if you're talking about stuff that's offensive or stupid or anything. It's all in the arena of ideas. Now, fast forward, as we get into what he was doing for Doge, remember, this is someone who, as a temporary employee, had 120 days. That's what you get. When did he hit 120 days? Today.
That's right. And he resigned. And it's funny because remember when
it's illegal.
It's illegal. He can't do this. He's not able to do this.
He's running Washington.
He's the co-president. It was the silliest nonsense of the world. And the only people complaining, I feel like a broken record pointing this out, but it's the dadgum truth. The only people that were complaining about what Elon Musk was doing, politicians and bureaucrats.
Yes.
That's it. There wasn't another American that didn't like what Elon was doing. I knew they were wasting. I knew there was fraud. I knew there was abuse of the funds that you and I work really hard for that get sent to Washington, D.C. to be sent to NGOs and just laundered back to the Democrat Party. We didn't know the depths of it. We knew what was going on.
So this now comes down to, we talk about all the changes. You now have, we're pointing out all these changes because they were going against the Biden administration. This swings both ways. This is like a saloon door, okay? You now have the Republicans that are under so much pressure in Congress.
Good.
Because they didn't codify the Doge cuts. And what has gone on? In the last 48 hours, you've had so many of them go on the record, we need to do this. This needs to happen. We need to make these cuts permanent. This is what we have to do. Remember, Doge isn't going away. Doge is going to be here until another administration comes in and decides to blow it out.
Yeah, Elon just stepping back.
The legality of Doge is that it was created under the Obama administration, under Obamacare. It gets to stay here for another 3.5 years. Just because Elon steps away doesn't mean it stops, but you need to codify those cuts. And the reason why Republicans are under this pressure is the same reason that the Democrats felt so much pressure from X because Elon bought it and made it a free speech environment.
And now everybody can see it.
Now everybody has to be accountable to it.
That's exactly right. And the Republicans, as little as I think of the Republicans, and I think very, very low of them, if they don't get this right, this is going to be a monumental fail. The White House has already sent over $9.4 billion of cuts that they would like to see codified. Now will the do-nothing Republicans get something done, or will they lay like dogs with the Democrats in the Congress, in the House and the Senate, and just let it all go to waste? I saw a tweet from Elon Musk where he just said, y'all, I tried. He was so disappointed.
Yeah, I laid it out here.
I understand why, because I feel the same way.
And I likened it to this. I was thinking about that when I was driving in this morning. When I started seeing, and this is speaking more closely to being, volleyball dad. When I started seeing what goes on, how things get more and more political, I was kind of bummed out. I always thought it was just show up, put your work in, it's meritocracy.
Some of that as your girls get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's there.
It gets more political. And that was disappointing to me. I think Elon Musk got his first real, from the inside of here's how political it is, that I did so many great things for the country, but I can't get politicians that are beholden to the almighty dollar. For instance, no politician ever, they can always say that this is what it's, no politician ever gets fired from his job for bringing home the bacon. It doesn't happen. And so the way that politicians solidify their power, it's find additional wasteful spending, make sure it makes it back to my district.
Feed my district.
That's right. None of them ever get fired for that.
Feed the pig.
So that is so think about it. You're asking politicians to take part in something that we know threatens their power.
They would never.
But Elon is looking at it as, man, I just threatened my status as the richest man in the world and one of the most popular people in the world and a guy who's going to send us to Mars. And I was willing to do it. You're telling me you're not willing to risk the fact that you might not be reelected? I think that's the disappointment. That's the I tried moment.
Isn't it always, though? They're always like, well, they can do it, but he's richer than I am. Let him tackle it. I can't do it. I've got too much to lose. Isn't that always the thing? Let somebody else do it? That I feel like my entire life I've always seen that. And even to the point where you and I started doing politics as a daily job, I would have never considered it 5 years ago. I don't even think I would have considered it. But maybe even because of the cost that is tied to it.
What do you have to lose? And I think about that, and it's not to the same extent, but it is the question of, hey, do I cost my kids an opportunity with certain things because of the fact that this is what I do?
You're not wrong about that.
Do I think about how they're being treated at school, or
absolutely right.
Whether or not they get invites to certain things? There's some parent out there that's like, I don't like that radio show. I would never have that kid in my house.
That's for real. That's a real thing.
So again, Elon Musk, it's a different level of stuff. But
he took the biggest risk.
But he decided, I'll take it on. I'm willing to do it.
Biggest risk.
So thank you. Thank you for saving free speech in this country. Thanks for bringing us back from the brink of where things were going to move in a way that was so incredibly dirty, socialist, communist, that free speech was the greatest disinfectant. It was sunlight. It killed everything. And now, as he walks away from this stuff, he's not done with it. J.D. Vance pointed out, he's like, no, he's going to be one of our top advisors. And the best part is, it's a lot easier to primary people from the outside than it is from the inside.
No doubt about it. We owe Elon Musk a debt of gratitude.
It's a huge thank you.
And if the Republic fails, it won't be for lack of effort on Elon Musk's part.
It won't be for the guy trying to take us to Mars that said, I'm getting involved in this thing right now.
It's unreal what he did and what he sacrificed, what he will likely continue to sacrifice. Proud to say, I was never an Elon fan or supporter. I just didn't have a feeling either way. Now I give nothing but a hand salute. Appreciate what he does and what he is and what he means. The most unimportant thing a woman can do is have children? That from a former first lady, surprisingly, or maybe not when you find out who it is. Next on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
What is our largest federal agency? Why, that's the Department of Defense. And they gobble up half of the discretionary budget in the federal government. Now, here is something that will outrage you, and believe it or not, I got it from Senator Elizabeth Warren. In many Defense Department contracts for equipment materials, you will find restrictions that prevent our troops from fixing their own weapons and equipment. Under these contracts, if something breaks from a tank to a pencil sharpener, the Department of Defense has to call the contractor that provided that item and schedule a repair visit and pay a hefty fee. That is even if our troops in the field are perfectly capable of making that repair. Can't do it. Gotta call the contractor. Our service members in a combat situation could end up waiting for weeks to get an essential piece of equipment repaired. The Navy has to fly contractors out to sea to aircraft carriers to do maintenance that the people on that carrier absolutely are qualified to do. What are the reasons behind this? Well, unions are one of them, lobbyists are another, but Secretary of the Navy Dan Driscoll is now modernizing a plan. He says no lobbyist ever won a war. So now it seems a lot of these contractors are going to have to provide repair materials and manuals to the armed forces. And the estimates are that giving the military the right to repair their own equipment could save billions of dollars. Finally, Elizabeth Warren and some Democrats are doing something that I not only can approve of, but applaud. And so can you. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
I'm Gianna Gelosi with your Fox True Crime Minute. A former Ohio divorce lawyer is accused of murdering his client in 2013 because he wasn't ready to take her case to trial. Prosecutors say Gregory Moore lured his client, Eliza Sherman, to his office in downtown Cleveland a day before her divorce trial was set to begin, using a mobile hotspot to avoid pinging cell towers. And as she waited outside of his office, police say Sherman was stabbed more than 10 times and pronounced dead at a hospital later that day. The indictment shows after Sherman was stabbed, Moore reconnected to Verizon to contact Sherman to create the impression that he was unaware she was attacked. The next day, it says a voicemail from Sherman was deleted and security footage wiped from Moore's office. Prosecutors say Moore previously sought to avoid court dates by faking illnesses, getting into a car crash, and calling in bomb threats to courthouses in 2012. He's entered a not guilty plea. There's more on this story at foxnews.com or subscribe to the Fox True Crime Podcast. I'm Gianna Gelosi with your Fox True Crime Minute.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Is the trade war with China about to escalate again? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump just posted on Truth Social, so much for being Mr. Nice Guy. After he made a trade deal to lower massive tariffs, he says devastated China and put it in grave economic danger. The president wrote in all caps that China has totally violated its agreement with the U.S. Republican Senator Mike Rounds just told Fox Business.
President is correct when he says I'm going to put tariffs on until we get a good, fair trade deal. We want free trade. We want fair trade. But it starts with putting the hammer down.
Now, the day after a federal trade court blocked some of the tariffs on Chinese imports and many other countries, Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence says the appeals court stepped in to put that ruling on hold.
This is a win for the administration. Now, that ruling was stayed until at least June 9th. That's when the briefs can be done for that appeal. Now, this original ruling targeted the heart of President Trump's tariff policy.
And the president called that initial ruling horrific, damaging to the U.S. and a threat to presidential power. This afternoon, President Trump will give Elon Musk a big send-off as the Tesla CEO's tenure ends, leading the Department of Government Efficiency. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Fox.
Doge is not going to end with Elon. It is a way of thinking about cutting costs.
Doge touts the savings at $175 billion. Musk's initial goal was $1 trillion or more. Democrats called Musk's work out of control and unconstitutional. We just got another inflation update, what's called the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. And while there was a slight gain last month over March, the annual rate of inflation declined 0.2 down to 2.1%. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in Singapore at a security forum with American allies in the region.
We're here to engage military to military, country to country. We can't account for whether or not China's here or not.
One topic being discussed there is Russia's war. Ukraine says it's ready to resume direct peace talks with Russia Monday in Turkey. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go. Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that their results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Are 30-day sample packs available?
You can now access a 30-day sample pack at TryRexMD.com with generics if appropriate. Online approval at TryRexMD.com is simple, with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit TryRexMD.com to get your sample pack. That's TryRexMD.com.
Grow your business organically with Atlanta's fastest growing news and talk station, Xtra 106.3. Get started today by emailing sales@xtra1063.com.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. 9 o'clock hour usually goes off the rails on the crazy train, especially on a Friday. But we'll do our best to hold it between the ditches. Maybe you could help us along the way, 404-741-1230. Probably not.
Or you can encourage it.
Yeah, that's most likely. It's usually the way it goes. Add Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. So, we had this conversation just moments before the Fox News update was done. As we poked fun at the Democrats all morning for sending out someone to speak to men, to win men back, that men have no interest in. There's no topics that make sense between Olivia, Juliana.
Told you how to fix Bud Light.
That's right.
Comedy and jugs.
That's exactly right. And you know what they did? They took Los's advice. Have you seen what they've done? Shane Gillis doing commercials for them.
Comedy and jugs.
They put very attractive women on the commercials again. Makes sense. It's what made them a household name.
Remember, their marketing team said that we're trying to avoid being the frat house beer. Now the Democrats are like, how do we get in the frat house?
That's right. And then they actually take a page out of the Bud Light script that screwed them, and that's what they're using. Of all the things to pick up on, they're like, hey, let's use that one. And that will fail.
It's a great idea.
And I pointed this out to Los a minute ago. I was like, you know why Fox News is so successful, don't you? They just put attractive women on TV 24/7. That's the plan. There's not a time when you turn on Fox News Channel, if you turn on Fox News Channel, that you will see like just a unattractive person. That's not what they do.
They just march them out one after another.
I mean, it's impressive the way that they line up.
We're more compliant to listen to things. You have to have overwhelmingly good knowledge for us to go, oh, yeah, I'll do that. You could have mediocre stuff that you're sharing as long as it's from somebody good looking. You're like, oh.
And when you combine two of them, like Megyn Kelly.
Oh, dude, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, dude, Megyn Kelly should be illegal in 37 countries.
I'm glad she ain't. God bless America.
Dude, but she's a lawyer, so she's brilliant.
She confuses me just by her presence.
I know. Well, that's because you're busy with your chin on the table trying to put your tongue back in your mouth. I mean, let's be honest, be frank about it. But that's the thing. They would tell you that men are terrified of really smart women. Men don't want to interact with really smart women. And that's the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. There's nothing more impressive than a really smart woman. I think it's brilliant. I love it. Give me all, inject that into my veins. You know, really smart woman laying it out so you know what's going on. Give me Megyn Kelly every day of the week. Now, Megyn Kelly is a staunch defender of women, which I appreciate. I feel like our side, we were labeled sexist for years.
We're the party of actual women.
Can I tell you one thing that happened to me when I very first started on this radio station?
I kind of remember this story.
Woman says to me, well, that's odd that you're going to be on this station. You hold doors and do all those things for ladies, and Republicans, they hate women. And I was like, what? I was like, well, first of all, I'm not a Republican, but second of all, no, they don't. That's the silliest thing in the world. But that had been the narrative for so long that a woman says to me, I can't believe you're on that station because Republicans hate women. And fast forward 4 years, station's very successful because of you. Thank you. Specifically because of women. Thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude, a tip of the big old extra 10-gallon hat. But when I think about what the left has done to women and what they say about women and what they really think about women because of their actions, it couldn't be further from the truth. That person that told me that's the most misguided that I think I've ever seen or talked to.
Well, it's like a flag in the wind. It just kept wavering and changing. For instance, early 2010s, they had this big push into women, and here's what we're going to provide scenarios for, and this is going to be the best thing for you. And largely, when Obamacare kicked in, like my wife fell for certain aspects of it. She's like, do you know that I don't even have to pay for birth control anymore? I'm like, no, we are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're doing it in a roundabout way now. Like, this is how this is happening.
They've disguised it.
Yes. Before we start a family, this is like a selling point for her.
Yeah, not just here, but all around the world, too.
Yeah,
right. This is how this was going. So you played up this, hey, we're the biggest friend of women that women have ever had. And that's how that went. It then turned into, all right, the Me Too movement. We trust all women. We believe all women. All women, whatever they say, we are on board with it. And then when the political winds changed, it turned into, transgenders, men can be women, and they'll be better women. In fact, Woman of the Year is a man. And while women are looking around going, hold on, I've had Title IX for about 40 years, 50 years. What do you mean? No, listen, you're no longer the flavor of the month. In fact, women, you take a back seat, and we'll make sure that the men who've decided they're women will take over here. In fact, they're now the priority.
What do you think?
And so women are sitting back looking at this whole scenario going, how did I actually subscribe to a group that went from demanding my vote, then telling me everyone has to trust me, to then we're no longer paying attention to you, and if there's any man who's decided that he's a woman, he's better than any other woman that's out there.
Dude, Chuck Todd said the other day, and I don't agree with Chuck Todd on much of anything, but he said, no, they're not going to be able to speak to men. They've discounted men for 15 years. I would say for longer than that, but his estimate, 15 years, because they told you that anything that you found instinctually natural to do was
toxic.
Misogynistic, all these things.
Yep.
So now, for the last probably 5 years, they've been doing that same thing to women. And it will continue. This isn't changing anytime soon. Do not misguide yourself. This ain't changing anytime soon. So just down the road, maybe women smarter than men most of the time.
Well, they're coming over here already. They already know this is the game that's being played.
Right, and you're seeing them abandon ship left and right. They're figuring it out before even the dudes did, with Chuck Todd's generous estimate of 15 years.
And my point has always been the same on this, and I hear other people that work in our industry. Meritocracy does not know creed, religion, sex. It's just who's the best for this position. If I thought there was somebody better in this building to show up here in the final segment and goof around with us, they'd be on. It's Bella. Why? Because Bella's the most fun person to do that in this building. When it comes to, hey, we want to have somebody to talk about in all aspects of what's going on in the political world. Yeah, we have on Bortz. Don't care how old Bortz is. In the same way, I don't care how old Angela Morbido is.
Couldn't care
Or
less.
that she's a woman. I do not care. Like, I want what's best.
Freaking amazing. She's
Right.
brilliant. Her experience, the things that she believes in, the things that she's not afraid to talk about, and will shred you up with a pretty smile on her face.
So the fact that I'm treating all of these people in the same way because I just want what's best for what we're doing, all right, that's what America is supposed to be. That's why you're showing up listening to here. This is why you're showing up listening to our content. When you subscribe to the other end of it, it's, well, I understand what he's saying, but he's 80. I don't know if we can really pay attention. Well, I understand what she's getting into, but she's a woman. What does she really know?
Or he's a white dude.
Yeah, or he's a white dude, or she's white. What does she know about it? They build these qualifiers into this stuff.
The yeah buts.
The yeah buts. They are the party of yeah but.
And can I give you a recent example of exactly what you're talking about? Y'all know I come from a country music background. The American Music Awards were this past Monday. I don't watch that. Have no interest in it. Can I tell you who won Country Album of the Year?
I already know. It's Beyonce.
Exactly.
But also the industry is what you buy.
Right.
That's what it is.
But nobody bought it.
No, I'm saying
nobody listened to it.
You pay for the award.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But for anyone whoever says, hey, why did so-and-so win all these awards? Sometimes, and it's very rare, where you have an independent artist put together some sort of content where everyone goes, that is by far the best album, and it wins everything. Most of the time, it comes down to who are the most popular artists and what is the record label then paying for to make sure they get the awards. And
they rally the troops, too.
Yes.
Because everybody on that record label is a voting member. Everybody in media, voting member. They're all talking about groupthink. Holy cow. But that's exactly what I despise about those award shows. That's why I don't watch many of them, ever. I'll check out the performances, but don't care who. And it's funny because my son hasn't learned that yet as long as we've been doing this, his entire life. He'll be like, well, hang on. How come whoever won over Morgan Wallen? I was like, because they're not going to vote for Morgan Wallen. They hate him. His politics doesn't match theirs. He's never, ever, ever going to win an award. Doesn't matter that he sells out more than anybody else.
And the record labels will make sure, if they, especially the fact that he's selling the way he is, it's like he doesn't need the reinforcement of one of these. Like, I have to go back to 2012, 2013. You realize you have to go that far back to go to The Heist and find that Macklemore album that was an independent album and go, wow, it won everything, because everyone was like, no doubt, that's the best album. But the record,
they didn't have a label to buy the votes.
There was no label to buy the votes. That's the reason why it was so, like, you put that album on and you check it. It might not even be stuff you're interested in. Know that that's the last time you had something that won all these awards, because everyone just said, that's the greatest thing that's out there, and we need to support it. It was outstanding.
It was so unbelievable. While we're on the topic, ladies, a former first lady, be delicate here, Michelle Obama
does not have a penis.
I think.
But
I think
there is video that makes you think. I'm just saying it's weird.
It's just there's questions.
A really strong woman.
Yeah. There's
perhaps even
strong jawline.
I believe we went to the moon.
Yes, that's right.
I wouldn't want to fight her.
No, me either. But this is what she said, that about reproductive systems, the least important thing for a woman and her reproductive system.
So many men have no idea about what women go through, right? We haven't been researched, we haven't been considered, and it affects the way a lot of male lawmakers, a lot of male politicians, a lot of male religious leaders think about the issue of choice as if it's just about the fetus, the baby, but women's reproductive health is about our life. It's about this whole complicated reproductive system that does the least of what it does is produce life. It's a very important thing that it does, but you only produce life if the machine that's producing it, if you want to, whittle us down to a machine, if the machine is functioning.
What?
May I?
Yeah.
That sounds like what you would say if you were a man.
You ain't wrong.
I'm just saying that if there was a man who was out there that said that exact same thing about a woman's reproductive system, you would say, well, of course a man would say it. Of course a man would downplay the miracle that is life. The hardest thing to do in this world is to carry a child to term and then raise that child into an adult.
She said the least important thing a woman's reproductive system can do is reproduce life. Least important, she says.
If I said that, then you would have women, rightfully so, say, well, you just don't get it because you're a man. And I'd be like, yeah, that's probably exactly the case. Yet I'm telling you, the most important part of a woman's reproductive system is that it grants us a miracle. The whole reason we're here is because of that miracle. And yet, someone who doesn't really care apparently about life or downplays it. I mean, I'm getting that she's trying to make some larger philosophical argument.
But she failed.
But here's the problem. She's been granted this like moniker.
The status?
So smart.
The status. This elevated status.
And what has happened is once you're in a podcast environment, Now it's no longer polish. It's no back button. It's not a book. It's not a ghostwriter. You have to actually do what you're going to do for at least a certain amount of time. In Rogan's case, it's 3 hours. Some of these, 30 minutes an hour. It's real easy to sound dumb over an hour when you're dumb.
Can you imagine?
5 minutes, you can hide that stuff.
Can you imagine reducing the most amazing thing that God created, a woman's ability to reproduce, and saying, that's not even important? If it's not important, what is it about it that is important? If it's not creating life and furthering the human race, what is more important than that? She never said.
Now, you will then get the counter argument, and I will blow that one up too. Well, you're just downplaying that woman's ability to lead or to, and I'm sitting back saying, no, they're all in addition. That's right. And there are women that choose not to have kids, and I will still say the most amazing thing you can do, that miracle, is if you want to have a child. It's your choice if you want to or not. That's not between you and me. That's not between the government or anything else. That is between you and your spouse or your husband or yourself. Whatever you've decided, that's what you've decided. And I am completely fine with that. But you are more capable. You're the only one that's capable of that miracle. I am not.
Yet.
Like, you have been chosen to handle this. I cannot.
Yet Michelle Obama says, not even important.
Because that's something a man would say.
Not even important.
I'm not saying she's a man. I'm just saying that's something a man would say. I'm not saying she's got to. I'm saying that is something, if a man said it, we'd all say that's coming from a man.
You've said that a couple times now. I feel like
I'm just reiterating for the message boards or for the Twitter chat that sounds like something a man would say. I'm not saying she's a man. I'm just saying that's something a man would say if a man said it.
I bet she could break some world records in men's categories. We started talking about world records this morning.
Yeah, the dude, sports, yeah, he's doing backflips on fire. Yeah. Broke the world record for that.
No, I'm just not saying it. I'm just saying she's very strong.
No, I don't know what to make of her.
When I know what's starting to happen, there's a reason why that podcast is failing, because the more she talks, the more people don't like her.
It's very much like Hillary Clinton. It's very much like Kamala Harris. Every time they open their mouths, they say something ignorant. Now, Brianna, what's her last name? The realtor?
Bazasinski.
Never held public office. I didn't know of her before Lowe showed me.
Well, that we take it a realtor in Tampa. We're like, that chick is hilarious.
But it's the truth.
She's funny.
She's got more to say than Michelle Obama does.
I would just say, listen, I
just assumed to listen to her than Michelle Obama.
I listened to an interview. There are people that are out there that I thoroughly enjoy hearing what they have to say. That's why I commit to like the 2 or 3 hour podcasts. And that's men and women. It just depends on what you're involved in. I'm like, that is really cool. To think that when it comes to Michelle Obama, that the podcast numbers are falling off a cliff, and she has every built-in advantage. She's a former first lady.
You don't talk about advantage.
She can roll in the president when she needs to, right?
Talk about privilege.
Yes. It's like there is not one way we would be able to do it once, probably every 4 years, that we could roll in like a sitting president onto these airwaves or a former president. Like, that's difficult to do. She could do that anytime. And it would be very hard to get a first lady to join us. She gets to do it every single podcast, and yet no one is listening in large numbers.
Condoleezza Rice, I would listen to her as long as she wanted to speak, because I think she's a brilliant woman. Jen Psaki's losing her show because she's got nothing to say. Those are the differences.
They were already low, and they lost 48% of their audience after she took over.
There's so many women out there that have something to say. And when they speak, I'm like, that's right. She's nailed it. There's never a point where I was like, I don't know. I know she's close, but she's a woman I can't listen
to. I don't even care if you're wrong. I'm like, make an articulate argument for it. There's nothing articulate about that argument that for some reason. Now, I get it if you're trying to say, but this is what she did not articulate. I would say that if you're strictly defining women by their ability to have children, I don't agree with that either. Because there are women that, whether it's a medical situation or something else, it doesn't make her a less of a person because she can't have children.
No,
but that's not what she was saying.
No.
What she was trying to point out is that this does not make you special. I'm like, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's the greatest differentiator on earth.
Yes.
There's nothing that compares.
Every one of us is here because a woman allowed for us to get here.
That's exactly right. And loved us enough to take us to term and give us the ability at life, give us the chance at life.
Even Simple Jack.
Even Simple Jack.
That's why he's here.
It's funny. I tell my wife this often. As much as I love my son, and I love him like nothing, just like Los loves his girls, love him like nothing else in the world. I love my wife even more than I love my own kid because my wife gave me my kid. My wife is my best friend. Like, I owe her everything. Everything that is in my life is because of her. I don't have a kid to celebrate, to cheer on, to spend time with, to become friends with. He's almost 21. He's now become my friend.
You better buy flowers on the way home.
Why would I do?
No, but it's my whole point. You don't have to have done anything. You're just doing it because you're like, hey, it's my best friend. I'm going to get her some flowers.
That's a good idea. I'm not good with that.
Do you want, listen, Costco has them at a really great price. Mm-hmm. You have a Costco membership?
I did. It's just lapsed. But
all right. Yeah. I will go in. I'll buy flowers for your wife and my wife, and we'll just put them in so when they get home, they've got flowers.
I'll Venmo you.
Now, like $15 for a dozen. You can't beat them there.
No, it's great. I'm never good at that stuff. That's if there's a fault in me.
What did I do?
It's like, did I say something I didn't mean to?
It's what you're gonna do.
That's right. How you doing? When we continue, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. 10% off any job or 0% financing for 12 months. Windows, doors, siding, gutters, roofing. They do it all, anything to the exterior of your home. Do not put your trust in the experts. I love what RFK Jr. said when he was talking with Caitlin Collins and she tried this gotcha and he turned around like Mike Tyson on her. It was great. I'll let you hear it next on Extra.
If you love 106.3, then you'll love the all-new Extra 106.3 app. It's loaded with replays of your favorite shows like the Morning Xtra and the Kimmer Show, podcasts from conservative voices across the South, and access to Extra's crystal clear live stream from anywhere in Georgia. Grab it now for Apple or Android.
Hello, good, strong, clean listeners. Hey, it's Los. Let's talk about Howard Brothers. Looking for the right tools, the right equipment, and perhaps expert advice for your next project? Well, you're going to find all of them at Howard Brothers because so many of the people over at Howard Brothers, we're talking about employees long-term, 10, 20, 30 years, locally owned and operated, and they take that very seriously when it comes to working with the people that they work with. Also, when it comes to the brands that they have in-house, they want to make sure they have the very best for you. Locations all through North Georgia and a team that's always ready to help. Great. That's a great combo. They are there when you need them, and they got the right people to help you out. That is why when it comes to your outdoor equipment, service, hardware, maintenance, they can handle all of that. Stop by today or visit howardbrothers.com and find your local one-stop shop for all of your projects. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Howard Brothers.
Back by popular demand, D. Geller & Son Jewelers Watches and Whiskey event is June 13th through 15th, only at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. This is Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son, where we're celebrating summer and Father's Day by bringing in an incredible variety of new and pre-owned luxury Swiss timepieces. Fan favorites like Tissot and Omega, showstoppers like Rolex and Breitling. You can walk out the door with something you might have to wait years on a list for otherwise. D. Geller & Son has been Atlanta's source for quality and value since 1939. And with over 85 years in Atlanta, you can trust what you're getting from D. Geller & Son. And while you're browsing, enjoy complimentary whiskey tastings thanks to Old Fourth Distillery, and get a free whiskey gift set with your purchase. Guys, watches and whiskey. How much better could a Father's Day weekend be? It's June 13th through 15th at D. Geller & Son Jewelers in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes. After that transformation, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
The right partner makes all the difference. For more than 185 years, we forged personal relationships with our customers and communities, funding economic development and rallying around the causes that are important to our neighbors. With the technology, products, and expertise you'd expect from a big bank and the local decision-making and commitment to community from your neighborhood bank, United Bankshares is your trusted financial partner for life. Learn more at bankwithunited.com. United Bankshares, member FDIC.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guests are Samantha Rousey Glass and Lieutenant Justin Bowles of the Jess Rousey Honoring Heroes Foundation. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Friday, May 30th. Wellstar announced yesterday plans for a new hospital in Cobb County. The proposed 230-bed facility would be built in Ackworth on Cobb Parkway, across from Wellstar Ackworth Health Park. Wellstar's CEO said the new facility is needed to serve Cobb County's booming population. If you filed your taxes, you'll soon see some extra dollars in your accounts. The one-time state rebate approved by Governor Kemp of $250 for individuals and $500 for couples is expected to be distributed in early June. The tax deadline was extended this year due to Hurricane Helene. And a tornado was confirmed to have touched down yesterday in Henry County. It crossed I-75 during rush hour. No fatalities were reported. Today's weather. Isolated storms continue this afternoon, but we'll finally get a break with clear and sunny weekend on the way. Today's high will be in the upper 70s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
I want you to hear what RFK did to Caitlin Collins because it's glorious. But first, I want to share this meme that I just ran across. It's so good. And it is Abraham Lincoln sitting at his desk signing the Emancipation Proclamation. And it's a Union general standing to his right, looking down, and it says, President Lincoln, a circuit court judge, has just blocked your Emancipation Proclamation. You know, just stop judicial tyranny is the overarching message. Can you imagine, even if we had that problem back then that we're having now?
So Phil Holloway was our guest last Friday. And Phil is a legal expert and somebody who does every podcast and radio station.
He was with Megyn Kelly day before yesterday.
Yeah, it's what he does. That man brought up an important aspect, and it drove it home for me because I kept trying to say this, but to have somebody of his legal stature, it just does it more justice than me. When I call it a constitutional crisis over what's going on, what he's pointing out is you might look at it as, hey, look, they're taking this power away from Donald Trump. Yes, that's true. But bigger picture, you're taking this power away from every president if you allow this. And some of this is the basis of what the president is supposed to do. He's supposed to set these policies. So what you've now created is a third rail, the judicial system, that is more power than any other one. That's a crisis of the Constitution because they're supposed to be equal.
An actual Constitution.
And as you can say, and the argument will be from the other side, well, what Donald Trump is doing is unconstitutional. No. He's been given the legal power when it comes to tariff enforcement by Congress since 1963. Every American president has had it. So the fact that a judge, and rightfully this is why it got thrown out so quickly, the fact that a judge decided to usurp not just the president, but went over the power of Congress, that has now created the judicial system as the most powerful. That is a destruction of the Constitution. That's why it cannot be allowed.
I want you to hear from Peter Ducey because he summarizes what Los is saying pretty well when he's talking to Carolyn Leavitt in the press room at the White House. This is when he's asking, does Donald Trump wish he had a different job? Listen to this.
If the courts are going to be the ones who are shaping policy, does the president wish he would have just become a judge instead?
So good.
That's well done. Dude, it's be snarky.
Absolutely. But he brings a really good point with his snark. So it's not, that wasn't just a, hey, I'm going to make the room laugh. This is, I'm going to make the room laugh, yes, but I'm going to get him to think too.
If Congress decided that they were going to spend $1 trillion on the military, or if Congress decided they were going to cut your taxes, or if Congress decided they were going to enhance your taxes by 5%, and a judge stepped in and said, well, you can't do that, and here's a federal injunction. all right, you just overstepped the bounds. The power of the purse, no matter what they decide, belongs with Congress and Congress alone. That is the power of Congress. They get to decide where this goes. So to have a federal judge from, again, the third branch of government get involved in something, again, constitutional crisis, you're not allowed to rule on that.
And you would hear the left.
There has to be an unconstitutional aspect of it in order for you to get involved, and there's none.
But you hear the left. Trump is the constitutional crisis. And that's why these judges, they have been fueled. They've been told that they are the last line of defense.
Explain, because he's been a duly elected president by a majority of the country, by not just the popular vote, by the Electoral College as well.
But Los, he's a dictator.
And so when you decide to influence tariff policy, which you have been given the right by Congress since 1963, according to the law and the Constitution, when you interfere with that as a judge, you are now creating the constitutional crisis.
And what else happens here, in my view, is that people think less of the courts. All of a sudden, people are like, well, if they're going to break the law, why do I have to follow the law? Why do I have to follow the judgment of someone else when they don't even follow the law?
This is the short-sighted aspect of these communists. This is what they never see coming. So if I was to say that the FDA has decided, this would be like 7 or 8 years ago, that eggs will cause an issue with your heart. It ends up being on the front cover of every newspaper in the country. We're like, oh my God, here's what's going on. You tell that to people now, pre what's going on with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it's like, what a joke. It's all bought and paid for. In fact, most of the FDA, they're people that are basically going to do the work and then go work for Big Pharma. It's a joke of an organization. And there used to be a real belief in the FDA. Just like there used to be a real belief in the CDC. There used to be like this trust in institutions. The CDC at one point, when we had several people that were infected with Ebola, they were flown here to Atlanta and they were cured. And we were like celebrating it. Absolutely. We're like, wow, that's
that's monumental.
It kills like 80 to 90%. And we got through. We're like, man, the CDC is incredible. Then the CDC told you to stand 6 feet apart.
Can I give you an example of exactly what you're saying? 0FG is our preference here, but when we don't have it, I've popped into a gas station and I got Monster's Rainstorm. And on the lip of the can, it says FDA approved, FDA reviewed, whatever it is. And my wife was giving me a hard time. And I was like, no, look, the FDA. She was like, you really think the FDA cares? You think that they're really researching that?
They just took the money.
You believe that?
They took the money to put that on the can.
My wife's not even political.
Yeah, and yet she knows.
But she's summarizing what you're saying.
Because
they've diminished their own value.
You've destroyed an institution, and now the left is largely destroying the judicial system with this stuff. These injunctions, when you tell me that there's a legal aspect, and for instance, the Alien Enemies Act, I said, here's the problem with it. We have not declared war on any of these countries that you're going to ship people out with. So if you're going to try to get them out of this country, you're going to have to do it differently. That was my point based on what the law was, and that proved to be correct. When it came to birthright citizenship, I said, here's what the legal battle is going to be. Let's see if they take into account what the authors and then the presenters, when it came to the amendment, because they wrote about it. It was not supposed to be for people that showed up here and gave birth to a child. We'll see how that plays out. But in a large part, these injunctions are coming down on things that Trump has the total legal authority 100%. To do without 100% ironclad, and yet they're getting involved. They're destroying their own institutions.
The courts are the next FDA. The courts are the next CDC. The courts are the
joke of an institution.
The courts are the next experts. Listen to the experts.
Yep. That's what they're doing, and they're doing it to themselves.
RFK says don't trust the experts, and that's the thing that I like about him the most. He's like, don't listen to me. He's like, here's what I believe. Here's why I believe it. Go and read about it yourself. Make your own decisions. He says this to Caitlin Collins.
Queen RBF?
Dude, yeah, exactly.
Man.
No doubt. And she's so cute. If she accidentally smiles and doesn't have RBF, she's such a cute woman. Anyway, she serves up this gotcha question, and RFK just knocks it out of the park.
You said that people should not take your medical advice.
Yeah, absolutely. People should not be taking medical advice. I'm somebody who is not a physician, and they should also be skeptical about any medical advice. They need to do their own research. If you're a mom, you do your own research on your baby carriage, on your baby bottles, on your baby formula.
But they don't have medical degrees, obviously. If you're a mom and you're looking at what science has been tested, they trust their doctors and their pediatricians.
One of the responsibilities of living in a democracy where physicians and every sort of expert are subject to all kinds of biases. One of the responsibilities of living in a democracy is to do your own research and to make up your own mind.
So that's your message to moms or to anyone?
I would say be skeptical of authority. My father told me that when I was a young kid. People in authority lie. And we've seen a lot of that in our country. And people in the media lie. And people need to make their own judgments and be skeptical and maintain their capacity for critical thinking. And that was shut down during COVID. And the media was complicit in that.
Dude, he kills it. Such a great statement, because I wrote down two things. Your responsibility. The left hates that idea.
Right. Oh, I like to read.
No, you're a pariah if you're willing to push back.
You didn't just listen to us.
What? We're the experts. You must listen to us. And he says, no, it's your responsibility. And he's exactly right. It is. And then the second thing, skeptical of authority. I've always been and always will be, including him.
So I don't want to get into too much detail, but I will just tell you from my own perspective and some other people I've talked to. When they have a medical condition, they've reached out to their doctor. You know what they found out? How little their doctor knows about nutrition, because they're not taught to nutrition. They're taught, here's the issue, here's how you fix it, here's what drugs that you prescribe.
Or here's what you're paid to prescribe.
That's part of what happens in medical school. So when she's like, well, they don't have a degree in any of this, what I will tell you is that people that have an education in these things, if they ever stop being curious and they ever stop looking into anything, they're no better than you.
That's right.
They really are not. I'll tell you, if I wanted to put in an HVAC system, I could. It's going to be brutal. It's not going to work. It's going to be awful. I'll go to an expert for that and be like, here, this is what I need you to do. But I can also do the research into which is the best system for my needs to then have that discussion with that expert.
Which he even talked about.
So that's where I can say, like, well, here, I've looked into this. What do you think about this? And now we have a discussion. That is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is saying. Is like, do your own research so that when you're presented with these options, you can have this discussion with this physician. That physician might actually learn something about you might be more up to date on the newest information, the newest literature, the newest research than they are. They're seeing 50 patients a day. You think they're going to sit down and spend 3 hours on a medical journal looking into what are the newest treatments for, your Bell's palsy or some other crazy thing that's happened to you?
And then the influence.
Yes.
That they have. And I'm not saying every doctor at every turn is motivated by money. I'm not saying that. But many of them are.
But some of them are only trained to know certain things. Like I know that I have had a personal care physician for the better part of 20 years. He tries to do everything he can dietarily to keep you off of prescription drugs. Like when he gets to that point, he's like, this other stuff isn't working. But a lot of doctors are trained to immediately get you on the statin or get you on whatever. And that's the influence.
It's the difference in actually treating the problem or just fixing the symptoms.
Right. What is the core issue? Because there's some doctors that look at you as, that's a piggy bank right there.
That's exactly right.
That's gonna pay off pretty good.
Which he's saying, which what RFK is saying, don't be naive to that.
But I will give my doctor credit. And I don't go see him as much as I probably should, but that's part of what's happened since 2020. I've lost a little bit of faith in the medical field. I'll see him when something's going on. Sure. But one of the things that has jumped out to me, one of the aspects of medical care, is that he flat out told me, Carlos, people come into my office, I see them every day, and they tell me about the changes they're going to make. He's like, and they don't do it. He's like, so yeah, I end up going down this road of having to prescribe this stuff because if it came to changing your diet or your habits versus taking a pill, a lot of people just take the pill.
Because it's easy.
And so there has to be that cooperation between you and your physician of what's going, and then you have to be accountable towards it. That's what he's talking about when he's saying responsibility. That's a huge factor. And that guy, he's saying what needs to be said, but he's also basically saying, let's have a discussion, honest discussion with your physicians with this stuff.
Be skeptical of authority. Check.
Check.
Your responsibility.
Check.
Check. and know that your doctors can be influenced. Check.
All three.
He's not wrong. And Caitlin Collins, though, she thought she had him.
And I've seen it on both ends.
She thought she had him.
My doctor's told me about both ends of it. He's like, this is easier for a lot of people, so this is the reason why this happens.
But you appreciate the honesty.
He told me.
I know I do.
He told me this. He said, your wife was just in here for her physical. He goes, I mark up this check with red marks every single day. He's like, I didn't put one on here.
Nice.
He's like, there was not one. And then when he finished up mine, he was saying the same thing. And all he ever does is the same thing. Hey, you going to keep eating and doing what you're doing? I was like, yes, sir. He goes, all right, I'll see you next year.
That's it.
That's my doctor visits.
I love the honesty, but I'm never going to trust blindly. RFK's telling you, be that same way. I don't get many things right. I feel like I got that one right. When we continue, Gen Z Explain. We're going to burn one down with Bella. Next on Extra 106.3, 9 o'clock hours brought to you by
She
Southern
likes to vape.
Exteriors. Your home exterior solution since 1999. 8779 southernexteriors.co. Windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters. They do all the work on the outside of your home, making sure it's everything it needs to be. 10% off or 12 months, 0% financing. southernexteriors.co.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 30th. The Atlanta Braves split their doubleheader in Philadelphia as they dropped the afternoon affair 5-4 before taking the evening affair at 9-3. The final afternoon starter, A.J. Smith-Shawver, left the game early after reportedly hearing a pop in his pitching elbow. He's been sent back to Atlanta for medical evaluation. Tonight, the Braves open up a 3-game series at Truist Park with the visiting Boston Red Sox. It'll be Grant Holmes on the mound. He'll be making the start for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Lucas Giolito. First pitch is set for 17, and that will be an Apple TV Plus exclusive broadcast. So make sure you download our sister station's app, 680 The Fan, to get the play-by-play. And the Edmonton Oilers will face the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals after beating the Dallas Stars last night 6-3 the final in order to take that Western Conference Finals series in just 5 games. The Stanley Cup Finals will begin next Wednesday. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
The EQE electrifies the essence of Mercedes-Benz values: leadership in user-friendly technology and earth-friendlier power, satisfaction for drivers and passengers alike, and the seamless confluence of craftsmanship and innovation that makes the iconic Grille Star shine. Get an exceptional offer on the all-electric 2025 Mercedes-Benz EQE 350 sedan. Just $539 per month for 36 months with $66.83 due at signing exclusively at RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through May 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
This is Tom with the Honest Car Guy.
Hey, what's with all this honesty stuff?
We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly.
How honestly?
We guarantee that each vehicle we sell will come with a bill of sale showing what we paid for the vehicle. You'll pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed.
No gimmicks or tricks?
Nope.
Man, this sounds like a new way to buy a car.
Get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1 or visit honestcarguy.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/faith. That's ethos.com/faith.
Mark your calendars because summer is here and it's time to slide into summer at Truist Park as the Boston Red Sox and Arizona Diamondbacks come to town May 30th through June 5th. Fans can enjoy 3 amazing gate giveaways during the homestand. First up is Sunday, June 1st, when the first 3,000 kids will receive a pool float, the perfect giveaway to use this summer. And then back-to-back giveaways June 4th and 5th, featuring the Truist Park Stadium replica and the beach tote bag presented by Visit Sarasota.
Braves win as the rookie walked it off in 11 innings.
And May and the A deals were so great, they're extended to June 3rd through the 5th. That means $10 tickets, $1.99 hot dogs, $3.99 Miller High Life, and select parking is just $10. You can't beat great baseball and deals like this. Head to Braves.com/slide into summer to get your tickets today and check out all the summer fun. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
Morning Extra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. Extra 106.3 FM.
I have something I need to say. I have something I need to
Burning one with Bella on the Morning Extra. Tug and Los until 10. The final segment on a Friday is always lifted up by Bella.
All right, let's get into the main meat of this thing because we stumbled into this during the break because Bella, she had a view of us, and Bella's our 20-year-old, 21-year-old.
I did not have a view of you.
By the way,
I feel like it was a view.
So intern Jack was like trying to surmise, like, okay, so who's this Bella girl? And I just said,
sizing her up a little bit.
I was like, dude, she'll ruin your life. Like, do not get involved with this woman.
She'll have you vaping.
Will ruin your life.
Ran out of the studio.
I don't vape. Why does everyone think I'm a vapor?
Like, she'll have you move in, and before you know it, like, you'll be washing her car and her other boyfriend's car.
So are you-
like, that's how she rolls.
So are you calling it hazing?
No. I'm just saying, like, there are certain women that you get involved in, they'll ruin your life. I'm not saying they'll burn all your clothes, but you'll be wondering, like, she could. You just get home and
You don't know how crazy I am.
That's why I said she'll ruin your life. So you were trying to surmise what people drive based on who they are. And you were surprised that Kimmer drives a very nice Mustang.
Yes.
You assumed that he had a really nice motorcycle, but then he would just have an everyday
Like a
car.
beater.
Yeah, just something just to drive back and forth.
Yeah,
but
like a pickup truck. He gives off pickup truck vibes.
Because
what does that mean?
You can just read someone by their car.
Did you know I drove a pickup truck?
Yes, Tug. That fits your character.
What kind of truck do you think he drives? You think it's like a nice truck, a beater truck?
It gives off like F-150. Is it 140, 150?
F-150.
F-150
I'm a GMC Sierra guy, but same. They're both
close,
1,500.
yeah.
They're both
Do you think
1,500.
he's like a 2-door or 4-door guy?
4-door guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Told you. I can read people by their trucks.
Well, but you couldn't get Kimmer. You totally were
Kimmer
wrong.
was
Totally wrong.
that was a curveball. I'm not gonna lie. When I was swiping out of the parking deck and he didn't realize it was me next to him, I was just staring at him in his car. I'm like, this just doesn't fit his character.
Did you not look at it like that's really nice? Like that's a really pretty car?
And it's nice,
It's a
but
really
my
nice
first
car.
thought was,
It's loud
why
like
is
a
he?
NASCAR.
Yeah, why is he driving such a nice car like this? Like,
like he's undeserving.
No, just like it's
And
just the vibe of him. You know the
But
vibe.
see, I think his vibe fits the Mustang. I mean, it's the classic, muscle car. He's a Marine, strong Marine.
100%. But he's like kind of that guy that I feel like picks and chooses what like motor vehicle he would spend money on. So I feel like he would have a super nice motorcycle,
Which I think he
and then
does.
and then like a average like truck. I feel like a truck fits his vibe.
I'm just telling you that he.
You know what I'm kind of saying?
He has the kind of vehicle that if he shot out of it, nobody would hear the shot.
No, 100%.
That 750
He's like a-
horses running would drown out a machine gun.
All right, well then that now asks the question. Okay, what do you think I drive? What is the vibe you get from me?
That's a great question.
You give off dad vibes to the core,
There we
so
go.
I'm gonna say something like,
Here it comes.
I'm not gonna say like
No,
a
go ahead.
Nissan, but I'm
Go
also
ahead.
gonna say like a. Is it a Nissan?
Yeah. There you go. She got it knocked out of the park.
It's a Nissan. Wait. What car do you think I drive?
Oh, you're beat her all the way.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, because Hot Mama's able
Hot
to-
Mama's.
Wait, so what do you think I drive?
I'm going to go with
Like a Civic, like
No.
a low mile Civic
No.
that's pushed to the limit.
I'm going to say
like she's probably got like a hand-me-down Beamer.
No.
Or Mercedes?
No.
Tesla.
No, I have a Jetta.
Okay, that actually kind of fits.
A blue
That actually kind of
sports
fits.
Jetta.
Oh, yeah.
That's blue sports Jetta.
From the Germans.
Yeah, that's right.
From the Germans, yep. It's an expensive car if anything breaks.
Now, I will tell you, this is going back 20 years. So this guy, Greg the Hammer Williams, and he had a career in Dallas. Things kind of went a little south, but Grego is Grego, one of the great dudes in radio. And Grego used to have me drive up to North Texas Nissan because once every probably 3 months, he would hit something with that car. Like backing out of parking lots, and he had like the fully loaded Nissan Murano.
That's funny.
And so I would drive it up to North Texas Nissan. They would make the repair, and as the intern, I would then bring it back to Grego. Grego would hand me like $100, and I was like,
Nice.
this is awesome. And I looked at it from that point on. I was like, that dude's made it. That's what I want. So I have had, whether it's my wife or me, have had a Nissan Murano for like a decade.
Well, talking about beater cars, when I went to go visit my best friend in Puerto Rico, that car situation over there is so wild. You have people, and if anyone's been to like
I've been to Puerto Rico 5 times.
It's like Puerto Rico, in Racon, I think it's
I'm
Racon.
going again for my 50th birthday.
Yeah, in that area, it's like it's so crazy the difference in cars. Like if you have like a junky car, you're known as like the real Puerto Ricans. Like my friend bought a car with 232,000 miles, minivan, and that thing is a tank driving through Puerto Rico.
Well, you need it though.
Like it's crazy.
Rough.
Yeah, it's rough over there. But then there's people driving like Jaguars and like nice Jeeps, which Jeeps are like made for that and stuff.
Yeah,
but like
yes.
nice, like a Jaguar. There was a Porsche. I'm like, how are you driving on these roads?
Those cars are going to beat all to piss.
I know.
I mean,
Well, let me
they're
get-
going to beat to death in Puerto Rico.
Let me ask that next question then. So the Jetta, did you get it new?
My dad got it in 2022.
Okay.
And it was kind of like 2 years after COVID. And you know how, I don't know if you kind of remember the car market was kind of like.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, it was hard to get them in.
Yeah. So my dad was like, you need a car if you're going to pay your rent in college and work. So my dad traded my car, my Volkswagen, because I accidentally let an ex-boyfriend when I was 17 drive it the day before my license to teach me how to teach me how to parallel park and like do things. And he crashed
You
it.
about said do donuts. That's very different than
No.
parallel parking.
I didn't mean donuts, but like.
It'll ruin your life.
And
Stay
he
away
crashed
from
my
the
car, and it was like a whole shebang, and I had it for a while. And so my dad traded it in, and it only had 10,000 miles because the guy ended up traded it in, got a new car from work. So the guy in the lot told my dad, this is going to be gone tomorrow if you don't get it. So I got it with only 10,000 miles on it.
There you go. That's the way to go, too, because it's already hit depreciation.
Yeah.
She's not having to worry about that 20%.
Yeah.
It's so me. It has tan leather interior in it.
I feel like she's bragging now, Lowe's.
Listen, mine's fully loaded, but it only took me until, I don't know, like 35 to
But
get
I'm going
like
to
a
drive that
vehicle
thing
like
to the ground.
Mine is not fully loaded.
But I'm going to drive my thing to the ground.
I think I had to wait until I was like 37 years old to have like heated seats and like a Bose audio system.
Yeah,
and so now I'm spoiled by
It's
this.
so funny you bring up the Bose because I was just the other day telling my wife, I was like, the only thing I want to do to my old truck is put a good radio in there. I mean, that's such a redneck. I mean, that is Dalton, Georgia.
See, that's what I knew you drove a truck.
You call me a redneck?
No, I'm not calling you anything.
I take it as a compliment if you do.
All right, well, give me a story. You got
Okay.
what do you got here?
This one's great. This one's great.
Wait, the first one?
Yes.
Okay, Georgia Tech being roasted over their rings is like all over social media right now.
What is this?
You've not seen this?
You've not seen this?
Los. So my son has a friend on the team, so this was front and center
It's
for
not
us.
like they won a bowl game either. It's so the team finished the season 7-6, and which a lot of fans were scratching their heads about these rings. A lot of people on Twitter were saying, why does Georgia Tech have rings? They didn't win a bowl game. What are they doing? Kind of just like a little weird that a college made
they
rings.
got a ring for
Beating-
going undefeated at home, basically, was the thing.
Okay, well,
Dude,
but
it's like getting a ring at a USSSA tournament.
I know they hand out these things like they're cotton candy.
And
these
then
days.
that's the thing. A lot of fans were saying that their record wasn't great, but the main source behind it is because they beat Miami and they beat FSU. So a lot
Doesn't matter.
But that's their thinking.
No, I know, but how much of a fanboy do you have to be to say, yeah, that's a great reason to buy the team rings?
No, I know. That's
horrible reasoning.
That's when Oklahoma beat Alabama. Imagine they got a ring for that. Like what? That's at that point.
It would have been different if they did championship belts because it's funny.
Yeah,
You know?
something funny, but
like a ring is
ring-
when you win a championship.
And people are showing it off on Instagram too. It's funny.
I think a lot of it is we're spending money. We got some money to spend. You get a ring.
That's dumb.
I know.
It just
It's
like
not- it's
loses
not
the
for
touch
me.
of like actually winning something.
It's a level of accomplishment.
I don't even want to slap around tech. It's not I take no joy in this. I just think it's so short-sighted and it makes you look so low rent.
There's a level of expectations that all these young people have, and it just turns.
Well, it just got
into,
lowered.
Well, but if
But
you
then
got
it
the
loses
money,
the touch of winning. Then if you win something and you earn that ring, that's you won.
Have you won?
Yeah. At this point, it's like, oh, they just get a ring for their season. That means nothing.
It has zero value,
But
except for the gold.
Even if they start doing this, then they have to change the championship something else than rings. Because
if everybody gets a ring.
Kaysen says this on Twitter. As Tacos from the league, remember from FX, said, all hot girls drive Jettas. Ha ha.
Oh my God, he switched the topic so quick to talk about Jettas. Yeah, hot girls drive Jettas. What can I say?
She will ruin your life.
Me?
Kaysen, she will ruin
I'm not going to ruin anyone's life. This is so dramatic.
She will show up to your house and she will vape all over the place.
Why? Because I'm from New Jersey and you think I'm aggressive?
Jersey, oh Lord.
That.
Watch out.
People in New Jersey vape a lot.
No, we don't.
They complain.
Yes, they do. And they complain and they're angry.
Okay,
I got a story about a Jersey girl. I'll tell you boys the good old days.
Damn.
How you doing for us? Burning one with Bella for Bella Los.
Thank you, Bella.
Jeray and Simple Jack, intern Jack. My name is Tug. Y'all come back now. You hear?
That poor young man.
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kemmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kemmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.